Hello, this is me on the 25th of July 2022, and everything that you're about to see after this little part when I'm in the bedroom was recorded earlier today, and I just thought I'd record this little bit just to reiterate what I'm about to reiterate probably for the next hour or so. Basically, writing a complaint down is so overwhelming at the moment because I'm pretty depressed. I've had COVID, I've been on my own for 5 days. Writing a long complaint where I'm mentioning every point seems a bit overwhelming, but just pressing record and talking is quite easy. It's just you just let it all out, and I might have missed things, I might have exaggerated. Well, no, I haven't exaggerated nothing. I might have missed things, I might have repeated myself, but it's all there, or everything I could think of at the time is there. All I can say is I disagree with the decision. I'm very depressed. I'm crippled with depression. I've got physical health problems. I've needed housing support most of my life, and I've definitely need it right now. But I haven't even asked. I've had COVID. I haven't had any food in. I've been getting takeaways, but I couldn't even. I felt like I couldn't even approach these support workers because they've been so unapproachable. You know, everything I asked for, they're not a taxi service, they're not that. So if I said, oh, I've got no food, and they'd probably just say, send me a link to order something online, and I've never done that in my life, but they'd probably just do that like they did when I sent them, when I showed them this form. Not a form, sorry, I showed them a letter about you need to fill this census thing in. They just said, oh, do it yourself. When I needed the cooker sorting out and fitting, they were like, oh, just ring this number. They didn't ring it themselves, they just left it to me in recent times. And I did actually do that, but often I wouldn't be able to, through depression. But anyway, let's just say it like it is. Recently I'm depressed, and here's a little story actually before I just play the video that we recorded earlier today. Right, my friend Emily Kane, who I've known for about 2 or 3 years. She's not a really great friend. We have ups and downs, me and her. She's not like my best friend. I've got loads of friends who I'm close with. She's like a sort of alright friend. I see her now and then, and she's alright, But there's been ups and downs with her. Anyway, long story short, um, she asked me to put this advert because she's got a cat. Cat said kittens. She wanted me to put an advert on my Facebook to try and sell these kittens. She's got one kitten left. She wanted to try and get rid of it, and I put it on my Facebook. I said, "Yeah, okay, cool." Did that, and then I was thinking about it. I put it, and I thought I've met the kitten because I've been up with my kids. Last time I had my kids here, we went up to Emily's, and spent like 3 or 4 hours there. My kids met her kids. It was all cool. It was nice. We all got along, and my kids met the cats, the main cat, and the kittens. And my oldest daughter Eva absolutely loves cats. She adores cats, and it was quite cute. How she was with the kittens, and she kept wanting to go up to the bedroom to see these kittens that are in the box and the centre. Anyway, long story short, she asked me to advertise the one kitten that she's got left to try and sell it, and I did it, and I put it up on my Facebook, and then I was thinking, you know what, maybe it'd be nice for me to have this kitten, and I was mainly thinking of my kids. Yeah, it'd be nice for my kids because my kids love cats, and they'd come over and they'd have a cat there, and it'd make life better for them. But also thinking of myself as well, and it'd be nice to have a pet. And I've been by myself for the last 5 days, so a pet would be good company, like a little kitten. It'd be nice for me. But obviously, I live on a main road, so it's a bit of a busy road. So kind of taking that into account. But we're thinking just close the windows, isn't it? Block the windows. You can get them things that like net curtains, but they're made out of stronger stuff that you can put over the gaps in the windows to stop little kittens running out. And then you let them out when they get a bit older and they've got road sense and they've got just sense basically. Obviously, when they're babies, you don't let them out because you wouldn't let a toddler running around on the road. Obviously, it's just common sense. But I thought it'd be nice for me to have the kitten. Long story short, I thought, yeah, it'd be nice for me and the kids. Mainly thinking of the kids, I've got to be honest, but also myself as well, thinking it'd be nice. You're thinking about someone else, you got to feed the kitten, you got to do this, you got to do that. Having some life around the place would have been cool. So I messaged her and said, tell you what, I'll give you 30 quid for it. Because she was saying all she's bothered about is a good home. Because I asked how much, and she said, oh, I'm just bothered about a good home at the moment, right now. So I just said, alright, 30 quid. And then she sent us a message back saying, I can't even read these messages. I can't read my own messages because I'm on the phone at the time where the messages are, but it was quite offensive, to be honest. And she wrote a message saying, oh, but your place is a mess. Your place is a mess, and you're on the main road, you're never there. Your place is a tip. And I'm like, well, no, it's not always a mess. I tidy up sometimes. And she says, oh no, it'll end up choking on one of your wires. And it's not a life. I want it to go to a better home. Which I found extremely offensive, understandably. Thinking, she's obviously been to my places, Emily, once or twice, and she's seen that I'm not the tidiest bloke because of depression. But a kitten would probably help me. That's what I think with me. The thing with me, right, I'm not like a selfish guy. Like, I don't know if the support workers want to think I am because they're acting like, oh, he doesn't need help. Yeah, he's doing this, he's doing that. But I've never been like a selfish guy, and when it comes to other people, I'm more likely to do something. So when I've got my kids over, I always tidy up, I always cook, I always make an effort to make nice meals and this and that. But when I'm by myself, I do nothing, I don't do anything, I'm just depressed and blah blah blah. And it's hard to get yourself motivated for just yourself. But a kitten, the life around, the life of a little kitten, probably would have made me be more tidy, or try and be more tidy. And then obviously, I had once upon a time I had support workers like you who were supposed to help me with that kind of thing, motivation as well. But she was just judgmental and said, "Oh no, I wouldn't want it living with you because you're too messy. It'd end up choking on one of your wires." And I'm like, "What?" I said, "I'm not messy all the time." And she says, "I've been to your flat, it's filthy." I'm like, really? I was just so disappointed in that kind of disgusting judgment. That's how I see it. And you might think, oh yeah, I've been to his flat as well, it is filthy, and yeah. Great, mate, it's just disappointing, and I'm there trying to help her, and I've probably got people to buy it for her. Loads of my friends have been in touch, because I put it on my Facebook, and they want it. A couple of them have been in touch with me, and others have messaged her. So she's going to get a decent price for this kitten, and she's supposed to be my mate, and I thought I did it, and then I thought, you know what, maybe I should get it. I even spoke to mum at Kids, Sarah Lee, and she said, oh yeah, maybe you should, the kids would love it. And then I got that. So that's pretty depressing. That was earlier before I recorded the videos actually, and that's really depressing. That's not helps with my depression, that people would judge me like that. But then again, I thought this is kind of like them support workers, housing support workers, they've judged me, and she's judged me, thinking, no, I wouldn't want it with you. You won't be good for it. It needs love, it needs support, it needs time. I'd give the kitten all that, you know what I mean? I'm really good with pets. I used to have pets all my life. And now, as I'm getting older, I used to be staying away all the time, right? I used to go and stay in Leeds and stay here. These days, as I've got older, I've just ended up staying at home quite a lot, and I'm at home by myself a lot, and it would have been good. I stay at home a lot these days, so it would have been good. I'd have looked after the kitten, I'd have fed the kitten, because it's a responsibility. And like I say, when I get my kids over, suddenly I'm lazy, I'm messy, whatever Danielle wants to call me or whatever. But then I get the kids over, and tidying up becomes like something that I do all the time, and it's like some kind of priority. Oh yeah, you've eaten, right? Let's take them plates in and wash them up, and blah, blah. I do all that, and that's not normal for me to do when I'm by myself, because I guess it's just you in it. But when it's other people, you want the tidy place, and And I guess with a kitten, it might be the same. It's like you wouldn't want a kitten living in a mess and dangers around. So you'd keep it safe. You make sure windows were shut. But yeah, I've been really disappointed in that. That's upset me. You know, it's upset me that a friend. But me and her have had loads of ups and downs and judgments and this and that. But she's not a proper friend, really. You know, this Emily Kane. She's been good over the years. We've had ups and downs. It's the last I've seen on and off, but I'm not going to see her again. You know, we haven't been like that for about a year plus, about a year now. But I still mates with her and go up and seen the kitten when I had my kids last weekend and stuff. But if I don't come out with something like that, it's just whatever. You know what I mean? Think you're better than me, kind of thing. Well, she clearly does. And then one of my friends, Roz, there's a message about it, I think. And messaged her, not me, but she liked it, and I think she said, yeah, Emily said, yeah, a few of your friends have messaged, in fact, but I know two that were interested. But I presume when she said a few, Roz might have been one of them. And Roz, I've been to her flat, and she's messier than me. She's got a bedroom that's closed off because it's damp, so she sleeps in the living room on a sofa bed. That's how it is. She's pretty messy herself. So, but she's got a cat, and the cat's cool and looked after and fed and happy. But yeah, if she ends up selling to her when she's probably messier than me, it's like, alright, great. I'm just really disappointed, but that's just all a relative. It's like, that's not your problem, you support workers, housing support workers. I thought I'd record this because it is what it is. I'm not some self-indulgent idiot. That's the other thing that I'm aware of now I've recorded this. Because it's not like writing a complaint and putting all these pinpoints down. It's like a bit self-indulgent. Look, cameras on me. Look, I'm so important. I'm not important. I'm nothing. Yeah, I'm just a normal lad who needed support. That's all I am. But I'm aware that people think when someone's there talking on a video, look at him, he thinks he's this, he thinks he's so important. Nothing is important about me, mate. I'm just a guy who's in a vulnerable situation who needed help. That's all I am. I'm not important whatsoever. Yeah, and I'm not narcissistic, because I know I'd probably think that some guy who, look, he's pointing himself, he's on video, look, he loves himself, you know, all that crap. But I've never been remotely narcissistic. Yeah, I record songs, I do this. I don't think anything about me talking like this is important. I'm only doing this because I'm depressed and I'm unable to bloody write a letter or write a complaint, so it's easier to free flow. So yes, let's get to the point. You know what I mean? Get to the point. The point's here, and I'm here. The point's here, and I'm there, or something like that. That's the saying, isn't it? Get to the point. The point is, right, I've been judged. I'm not narcissistic. I couldn't care less. I'm more bothered about other people. I get my kids over, and that's the only time I'm not that depressed, really. After having the kids, and I'm alright after that because I've got a bit of pride because I've done something for other people, and that's what I'm about, you know. That's what matters to me. I could be walking down the street today and some guy'd call me a fat bastard. Alright, cool. Whatever. I might have a go at him a little bit, but not end the world. And then I could be walking down the street with my mate who's depressed and she is fat, she's a big lass, no disrespect, and then someone could call her a fat bastard. Then I'd be more bothered. I'd be proper wound up. What? Whoa, you disrespect my mate, and I'd make sure that I made a major point of it. That's what I'm like. When it's myself, I'm not bothered. I want to be bothered, and that's what you guys are trying to help with. But I'm more about other people, so other people motivate me. So the kitten would have been a good thing. I'm quite disappointed in that. I'm trying to make life better for my kids when they come over. Just disappointed. But yeah. Anyway, this was just the bit at the beginning that I thought I'd do. Just to point out, you know, I feel like I've been wrongly judged by you guys. I feel like I've been treated like an idiot by my so-called friend Emily Kane. friend of years. I don't know how long I've known her for absolute years now. What, 2019? Years. Been to hers. We had a fling once or twice. You know, it is what it is. She's got issues. She's probably got bipolar or something. She has got quite a lot of issues. But you know, she's always crying. You know, some guy. She actually sold one of the cats, and a guy came back and give her one of the others back. So she's got 2 cats now, 2 kittens. Said he wanted the money back, which is a bit crap. Because so what? A cat meows too much. I don't know what it was, but he wanted his money back, and she don't get paid till Friday or whatever. I don't know. And she was crying about that. She messaged me. I'm crying. I'm like, all right, okay. That's what she's like, you know. She ignored me that were getting upset about this cat situation. Didn't even answer any of it, and then she told me about that story about one of the other kittens she sold. The guy came back. She sold it for £100 and he wants a refund, but she doesn't have £100 right now. I mean, really, you should just say, no, what, you bought a cat, that's it. You don't refund bloody cats. It's not like a microwave. You bought it, that's it. But she's gonna give him the refund and blah blah blah. Don't know why you'd want a refund. What the hell can a cat do wrong after buying it? You know, it meows. Don't like the way it meows or something. Anyway, this all bollocks. Pardon my language. I'm not being offensive there. It's all rubbish and irrelative, isn't it? Let's get to this situation with you guys and what's happened and how kind of disappointing it is. But no hard feelings. Like I say, I thought one or two of you were pretty cool at the beginning, and then you turned on me, and then I still thought that the lass that was with that Rebecca Lum was alright. She was a nice lass, a blonde-haired lass, and the lass that were coming with Danielle were cool. But here I am doing all this and praising her when potentially it's only because she hasn't said anything vocally to me. Maybe she's slagging me off and saying I don't deserve the service or I don't need the service as well. You know, I don't require the service. Hello, this is Lee Foster on the 25th. I recorded a video yesterday and I'm recording another today. Time's ticking away. I've woke up again this morning. There's no letter through my letterbox. This letter of notice has not came through. And I haven't had a call, a voice message, a text message from anyone contacting me to speak to me like Danielle said they were to do. Like I said, and like I mentioned yesterday, there was a moment when my phone was off, like 3 o'clock one of the days where they were supposed to ring. About 3:30 till 5 o'clock, I had an appointment and I turned my phone off. Maybe someone rang then. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But no one left a voice message and there were no missed calls on my phone. And another time, when someone could have potentially rang, there was a day where I woke up and my phone was dead. And that was like 10:30. I turned it straight back on and you know, charged it. Left it on while it was charging just in case anyone rang. But yet again, there were no voice messages and no text messages. So maybe someone did, maybe someone didn't. It's a possibility. So I'm not going to say that no one did. Someone definitely didn't ring because potentially they rang at that moment, them moments when I didn't have my phone on. I just always tell the truth. That's what I've always done. 100% honest guy. So anything I say is the gospel truth. Anyone can say that, but I just tell the truth. Tell it like it is. That's going to upset some people. Fair enough. That's life. Honest people do upset people. But yes, where was I? No letter. I'm waiting for it. I was hoping I was going to get the letter, see what was written on it, if anything, you know, and if it was just like, oh yeah, we're giving you 2 weeks notice, you no longer require our service, didn't go into any detail, fair enough. There was nothing major to challenge on it other than what I'm doing here. But I was thinking potentially there could have been some like points like, oh, you don't require a service because blah 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 blah, blah. And then I could challenge the opinion, you know, challenge the judgment, the decision, like you can do. But as they were supposed to be sending it out on the 14th and it was 2 weeks notice, I realised time is of an essence. And if I ring up on Thursday when the 2 weeks is up, no one's going to want to give me the time of day. No one's clearly wanting to give me the time of day and explain things to me right now, you know. I haven't rang myself, but I've been let Danielle know repeatedly that I'm wanting to speak to someone, and I haven't heard from anyone. But like I say, potentially someone contacted her, blah blah blah. Anyway, Chloe, whoever I'm talking to, let's just get to the points. Depression, anxiety, how I'm living. But in fact, before I go any further, this is all unrehearsed because the problem with depressed people, people treat them badly and they've got anxiety and this, that, and the other. They don't come up with some great defense and some great case and here, boom, 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 boom. They're too depressed to do that, and that's what people are probably thinking I'd do because, oh, it takes a lot of time and effort, and he ain't got that. He ain't got that mentality to put that time and effort in because he's depressed, and depressed people are lazy and they haven't got the backbone to stick with it and bring all the stuff up that people have done to them, you know. But I guess I'm in here with COVID. I'm not articulating myself as well as I could do, but I'm depressed, so this is the best that I can do. I'm going to get all the points out eventually. Bear with me. But before we move forward, I'd like to say thank you for the help that you did provide. You know, I'm grateful for it. Yes, before anyone tries to make out I'm not. I'm extremely grateful. So the actual help that I did get was there was some top up on my heating. You know, I'm on switch two heating, and there was help with that. I put £49 or something like that on it, and that was extremely helpful. I mean, it cleared the debt. I don't really use it because I've had problems with it for some reason. It doesn't even turn on anyway, so that's another problem that I was gonna bring up to one of you guys if anyone were willing to listen, but clearly not. That's not the case with me most of the time. I'm putting it on and it's not coming on, so there's something wrong with the radiators, you know. They'd have probably just told me, "Oh, contact this number," and left it to me for me to do, which I wouldn't do because that's part of depression. But hey, what am I even saying? Yes, I appreciate them topping that up. That was helpful. It cleared the debt, you know, because I was like a bit in debt, and then it added a bit onto it, so I had a little bit of heating potentially if I needed it, but it wasn't working for some bizarre reason. And there's a standing charge on the thing, and it takes away like the ridiculous amount every week anyway. It's just I don't even know why I bother. And then I've got summer coming up and blah blah blah. So yeah, it is what it is with that situation. And the other thing that you helped me with eventually was a cooker. Yeah, my cooker was knackered, and you helped me with a cooker, and that's been greatly beneficial. And yeah, it's been helpful. Obviously, 'cause I've got my kids coming over at weekends every now and then, and I've got to feed them and I've got to cook for them and blah blah blah. Without a cooker, what an absolute nightmare! I had them once with no cooker, and I couldn't do anything. I had to get friends to help me with McDonald's, and I ended up in debt because of it, you know. And I had to try and cook on an air fryer, feeding three kids with a tiny little air fryer, and myself. It was a nightmare, you know. So thank the Lord, the cooker came along, and that was helpful, and I appreciate that matters, and it's helpful. So that's something positive. And then a washing machine, yes, that is very helpful as well. It's a small washing machine, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. I can put some washing in, and I had like 7, 8 months, maybe even a year almost, with no washing machine, and my washing was literally piling up to the ceiling. You know, I was wearing dirty clothes at times. I was having to get friends to take bags of washing home and do it for me all the time, washing and drying. So that's the actions of some guy who isn't depressed, who's just lazy apparently. You know, well, surely I would have got on top of this and fixed this and this and the other. This is why I needed housing support, because I don't seem to do these things myself for whatever reason. Depression, that's the main reason. I know myself a little bit, but anyway, that's something that was very helpful. The other thing that you did, so you've done the the washing machine, the cooker, topping up that heating, and a bed. Right, yeah, that's the other thing that you've done. A bed. I got a double bed from you guys. Well, you referred me. You got in touch with whoever and provided me with a bed. I mean, initially when I was assessed, I was explaining that I've got three children that stay over, and at that time, we were all sleeping on disgusting mattresses. You see better things in skips on the floor, 2 mattresses on the floor. That's what I had. But a neighbour came through and she had a bed downstairs and she saw how I was living and she said, "Oh, I've got this bed, this spare bed. You can have this." And she gave me her bed, which is a nice bed, and I've got that one. And then you guys came through and got me another double bed, so I've got 2 double beds in that bedroom at the moment. And the bedroom is very full because 2 beds literally takes up the whole bedroom pretty much. But still, I'm very grateful for that, and my kids have got a bed to sleep on. I've got a bed to sleep on. Well, I've got to share with the kids because initially what we did put in for was a sofa bed, and then I got told no, that's not an essential. You can't get a sofa bed. So a sofa bed would have been better because I've got children that stay over, a 10-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old son, and a 6-year-old daughter. So obviously 2 of them fit in one bed, and then I've got to share a bed with another one, which at their ages I don't particularly like having to share a bed with them. Don't think they're particularly like sharing a bed with me. Well, they're not that bothered, obviously, but in general, it would have been better to have a sofa bed so I could sleep separately from them and sleep in the living room when they're here. But beggars can't be choosers, you know. And this double bed's still a hell of a lot better than the mattress on the floor that I had. So I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for that help. That's good. I'm not an ungrateful guy. I appreciate what practical help you have done. And the other help would be, uh, yeah, check the mail once or twice. Initially, like I said, initially they've started out really good. It's just that they've changed. The demeanour's changed as time's gone on, and they don't want to do anything. If I asked when they were first here if they could help me with a food bank, they would have done probably. But then I asked the last time, and it was like, "Oh no, we don't do that." And they basically had a go at me, like attacked me for not budgeting. And at that point, I just my microwave had broke down. I'd got a new microwave that cost a lot of money. You know, I'd had loads of birthdays. I'd borrowed money off people to be able to feed the kids when I didn't have a cooker. You know, it was all paying people back. I was in a bad situation financially. I had the kids coming at weekend, and I asked if I could potentially have a food bank because it'd help, and they could help me with that. And they were like, "No, we don't do that. This is the last time that I saw Danielle and the other lady. We don't do that." I'm like, "Okay." I'm a bit shocked by that. And I was like, "Well, you did." And basically, then Danielle started having a go at me, like saying, "Oh, it's your responsibility to budget. What do you do rest of the time when you got your kids?" I'm like, "Well, I've always done it myself, obviously. I've had one food bank in the last bloody 7 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the case may. Not 8 weeks. What I'm talking about, months. I've had one food bank in months, 7, 8 months. I had one food bank when you first started with me because I think the lady that came around put in for 2 food banks. They only got one, and that was it. They said it was too much paperwork for them when I mentioned that, because I think she mentioned trying to get me a second food bank, and I mentioned that to Rebecca and said, "Oh yeah, it's too much work." Blah blah blah, something like that. I'm not 100%. It was something along the lines of, "Well, it's too much work. You got one," and Um, yeah, so I got attacked for asking for the food bank. I'm drifting off track here, but yeah, I do appreciate the one food bank that I've had from you guys. You've helped me with that, so that's another thing I appreciate. Decluttering, yes, you've helped me declutter. When Danielle and the other lady took over, I was amazed that they actually did something because all the others had been so reluctant to do anything for quite a long time, and anything I'd ask for it were like I would ask him chop the legs off and this and the other. And suddenly these people were doing stuff and stuff that I knew that if I'd have asked Leanne for, sorry, Louise, I keep calling her Louise, Leanne for, she'd have said no, we can't do that. We're not a taxi service, blah blah blah, or something of them lines. She would have said that they were just unapproachable to anything I asked for. They couldn't do it. They wouldn't give me advice on how to do it. Nothing. It was just no, we don't do that. And it's like, okay, well, fair enough. Great. I've plucked up the courage to ask for help, which I don't normally do anyway, and I'm getting treated like that for asking, and people acting like I'm some idiot, you know. But anyway, yeah, I was amazed that they did the help, and I appreciate the help they did because I wasn't expecting it from what I'd experienced before. When they took over, they actually did stuff that all these other people knew that everything was cluttered and cupboards were full and this that, and the other. They were all aware that everything was a mess, and They just didn't want to do anything about it. They didn't want to help with anything. But these guys did, and they helped me with some mail, and saw that I'd missed appointments and this that, and another. They rang a couple of things up for me, so I appreciate that help as well. That were the initial help that they did. They helped me declutter that cupboard a little bit, and I did it. Obviously, I did a lot of it myself and got it all out and ready for them. But they took it to the tip, and they helped me greatly, and I appreciate that help. So that's the help that I do appreciate. I'm a grateful guy. When I get help, I appreciate it. I need help, and I appreciate the help that they did, because that cupboard has been like that for years, and it probably would have still been like that if it wasn't for them. So I do appreciate that. And like I say, I appreciate the cooker, the bed, everything that's been done. One time giving me a lift shopping with that Rebecca and the other lady. That's the only other help I can think of that I had actually. There was a time they came and we were talking about helping me budget, because I've got the children. They come over. I always seem to spend a lot shopping. I'm a male. I've lived by myself a lot. I used to live with my grandparents and girlfriend and kids, and they did all that kind of stuff like shopping and budgeting and blah blah blah. And I just eat day to day in general, get takeaways. But when I've got my kids over, I eat from crap from the local shop when I've got the strength to go out or confidence to go out. So basically, they were going to help me budget in that. One of the things we discussed, budget shopping. So one time Rebecca Lon, or whatever her name is, and the other one were here. They'd been before, and I think they'd said, anyway, I want this tidy when I come next time. That's what Rebecca said, and that was about as helpful as uh, a sledgehammer in the head for a headache. It was just like, great, yeah, that's really going to help, innit? I didn't say any of this, I just think it, you know. So that was the gist of it. But there were a time I thought, you know what, They mentioned they were gonna help me shopping, so she were like here and ready to walk out the door after about 3 seconds, and they were walking out the door, and I said, anyway, can you help me like shopping, budget shopping? We don't do. I think she didn't want to do it, but they did do it, and she was reluctant, but she did it. They wasn't happy. She wasn't happy. The lady that came with Rebecca were pretty cool, and I didn't mind her. She was a nice, friendly lass, good, friendly disposition, which is perfect for working in mental health and dealing with people with mental health problems. Because she was alright, she was a nice lass. Rebecca was just like really harsh and just she's like a bossy lass or whatever. I don't know. She didn't really boss me about or anything, but it was just that kind of vibe. She wasn't particularly friendly. She wasn't remotely supportive, and it was just like an inconvenience. Her helping me felt like a major inconvenience for her, and she didn't want to be doing it. And you can pick up on things like that. Obviously I've got mental health problems, but I'm not some idiot who's like hyper sensitive and imagines things. I'm a realist, and anything that I've imagined 90% of the time has been true. Sometimes I get it wrong, but obviously with thinking that people's demeanours and attitudes towards me are changing, and then I get a letter like that. Well, I get a message saying we finished. I'm usually right, you know what I mean? Anyway, like I say, I appreciate that I got taken shopping and they helped me budget shop that one time. That was good. I appreciate that. It was a bit of a weird situation, but it happened. Anyway, that's all the things that he helps me with. So over this time, I appreciate it. But let's get on to the complaints now, because that happened. And what bad has happened? Right. I'd say the worst thing is probably the judgment. Why have they deemed that I no longer require housing support? That's what I want to know. I've been asking. I wanted the letter. I wanted to see the letter and see what was written on it. Why am I a person who doesn't need housing support? That's a good question. Why? Please, somebody enlighten me. Do I look like I don't need housing support? I mean, yeah, we're not a cleaning service. I get all that. It's not about that. It's about the support of just somebody coming once a week and helping me with a few things which I need, which I don't do. In recent times, the last time that Danielle and the other lady were here, they're like, I did show them some mail. I said, anyway, have you got some mail? I showed them some mail. And they're just like, oh, do this yourself, do that. Oh, you need to do this online, do that. There were no like you can either ring or do online some census thing, and it's just like that would it just pass back to me, and I didn't do it because I don't do them things. You need to take responsibility. Yeah, of course you do, but you need if that were all fine and dandy, people wouldn't need support, would they? They'd be absolutely fine. Everyone would be on top of everything, and life would be cool. But some people need support, and I guess I'm one of them. So the judgment of her. It's pointless repeating myself. I recorded a video yesterday and I'm recording another today, but Danielle has clearly taken it upon herself to like diagnose people and make medical assessments, make mental health assessments. I don't know why she takes it upon herself to do that and make judgments, because she's said that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not depressed. She's actually said that. You know, so you're like saying, no, you managed to go out, blah 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 blah. You did that, and you're like saying, making out there was nothing wrong with my shoulder because I moved a wardrobe, and you moved a wardrobe the other day. Doctors, I were there when you went to doctors. There's nothing wrong with you. She was saying all this, and yeah, I had a bike, which I've got there now. Got my bike there, and she went on about. She basically said something along the lines of, "I would find riding a bike harder than tidying up. You're just lazy. Do you not think you're just lazy?" She did say that, and at that point, I was like challenging it, saying, "No, I'm not lazy. I used to be into weightlifting, this, that, and the other. I'm the opposite of lazy. I want about pushing myself. You know, it's just physically, I'm knackered these days, and everything's effort. But maybe I am a little bit lazy because of mental health as well. Does that make anyone bad? People are lazy with mental health. It's more crippled with mental health problems than actual laziness. Like you're just some lazy guy who likes lazing around and having a good time and don't want to do anything that's hard work. I mean, everyone likes hard work. I do. I did, because it makes you feel good about yourself. It's just getting the energy and motivation to do anything. Why on God's earth am I riding a bike? Because I don't want to be fat and lazy. Yeah, I want to be healthy. Common sense. And she made out because I ride a bike, which all I do on this bike ride, which I mentioned yesterday and I'm going to mention again, so this video is a little bit of a repeat, is ride down to Spen Valley Greenway, which is literally just on my doorstep, ride along to Morrison's, which is not far, about a mile and a half, something like that. Then turn around near Morrison's, push the bike up the hill for a bit, then get back on it on the Spen Valley Greenway, ride when it's all straight and flat, and then when I get to the bottom of the hill near where I live, I sit down for 5 minutes. I put a 5 minute video on my phone, and then I push the bike up the hill and stop and start, push up, stop, because I've got to stop because of my calves. And that's just me trying to get some cardio in, because I can't do much cardio at all because I've got bad calves, and running is completely out of the question. Too much walking knackers it up. I've got patella tendinosis as well, which is bad knees and the tendons of the knees. If I walk too much, I'm in agony, and then my knees are all fucked. Pardon my language, sorry, but my knees are knackered. And that's the gist of the situation. So I'm trying to keep some kind of fitness the only way that I can with cardio. But it's made me worse anyway. The same old scenario. I was doing it every 2 days, that little thing, and it wasn't nothing major, challenging. Like I've just told you, I'm just casually riding to Morrison's on a flat, no hills or anything of the sort. And yeah, it made me worse. It were helping, but then it's got worse again, hasn't it? Because I was doing it every 2 days, and it's obviously too much for my knackered body, and my calves somehow got knackered when I was pushing the bike up the hill. So it's like I can't do it. So it is what it is. It's just left there at the moment because of depression, and I need to do a lot of things. I need to tidy up. I always need to tidy up. I know, it's depressing. My life is constantly people are getting in touch with me. Oh, you alright? And I'm always getting off the phone saying, yeah, anyway, I'm going to go and tidy up. And yeah, I don't expect people to help me tidy up every day, but it's always on my mind. I need to tidy up because a tidy house, tidy mind, like my neighbour said. But it's a bit overwhelming for me for some reason. It's overwhelming. I wrote a poem about it. Depression is a mattress on the floor a few years ago, and yeah, you should check that one out. It's a bit overwhelming. And yeah, I got told we're not a cleaning service. I mean, when Leanne came around initially, she was cool and she helped me tidy up the first time. And she said she didn't mind helping people tidy up. Some of them don't like it, but she said she'll do it. But she only did it once. So she set that precedence, like she does it. And then the next time and the time after, I actually asked her and she was like, nah. She actually said no. And then she tried to imply that I only got them because I thought they were a cleaning service. Really? Nah, I got them because the guy from Fusion, my Fusion support worker, said that I needed more help than he could provide. And he'd heard wonderful things about you guys and things that you've done for other people that he knows, which you probably have done. This is the thing, you probably have been wonderful for loads of other people, but for me, you haven't. You know? Yes, there was the initial help with this, that, and the other, and the practical help, which I'm grateful for. I appreciate that, obviously. But this whole judgment and not wanting to do anything and the demeanour's changing is reality, and it's happened. It's not me imagining things. And why has it happened? I don't know. I haven't received a letter. I haven't spoke to anyone about it, but I can guess a few things. It's judgments. It's false judgments. It's people judging me like there's nothing wrong with me, and I'm not depressed when I know fine well I am, and a million and one people would say the same thing, and it's quite depressing, and it's going to mess with me. It's made me more depressed than what I was before I had this help. Been terrible, absolutely terrible that people that are working with people that are vulnerable and need support with housing and this that, and the other being so foul to someone like me, you know, and making a judgment about me clearly by sending this letter. I've not been rude to anyone. I've not done anything inappropriate. And the only thing that I can think of, I did send a few messages on WhatsApp about this, that, and the other, but it was only after, you know, the thing, like with Louise, but it's not Danielle, sorry. And Leanne, yeah, I asked her for help, if she could help, if she knew anyone that was selling anything for my kid once, but I didn't think that inappropriate. And I asked for a lift to the police station once to collect something which was important, to collect something that was important to me, a phone, yeah. And it would affect my mental health not getting it because they'd sent the message saying, "Oh, you can collect this at blah 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 time," and the time was running out. You only have X amount of time where you can collect these things from, you know, the police have got until they end up keeping them. If you haven't collected them in 3 months, they can do what they want with them. And the time was ticking with that, and it would affect my mental health. But getting up there was difficult. You know, getting to places is very difficult with my conditions. You know, sometimes my legs don't work, you know, without making things very bad for myself. If I walked when the calves are knackered, I'm going to make things terrible and I'm going to be in agony for days and not be able to walk hardly at all. And then this public transport, which costs money, which I haven't really got. I don't get a lot of money. I've got children that come over. I've got to feed the children. I've got to give the mothers of the kids money. I'm a responsible dad to an extent, as much as you can be in my condition. So, drifting off track. Yep, it was important for me to get that phone. What was that phone about? I didn't mind telling anyone because I'm a 100% honest guy, the most honest guy you'll ever meet. That's a fact. There's not many people that are honest in this world, and I'm definitely one of them, and I always have been. And basically, way back last year, I was just on Badoo. I didn't really talk to this last hardly at all. I only spoke to her one day. She was messaging me on Badoo, and she wanted to meet. And she was sending pictures of herself, like on Badoo and on WhatsApp, you know, naked pictures, pictures of her doing this, sucking a thumb, all kinds of things. Boom, this, that, and other. Not that it matters, it's all too much information, but I don't mind telling this story because, you know, maybe there's been some judgment about me wanting to collect something from the police station, like, oh, we're not helping some monster go get something, blah, 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 blah. But maybe there hasn't been a judgment, but I can imagine there might have been, whether anyone admits it or not. because I'm wanting to collect some property from a police station. People are going to think, oh, really? Oh, what have they got his stuff for? But anyway, long story short, I met a girl. Didn't really talk to her much. I'd spoke to her the night before. I was very drunk when I met her because I'd been for my first jab. I've got an alcohol problem. I'd only had one jab, and I went and sat in a pub for ages drinking after I'd had the jab, and then I was talking to her. I think I had the jab about 12, something like that, and then I was talking to her and met her about 5:30 or something. I'd been drinking a lot of whiskey and lagers in the pub, and then I was getting on a bus back to Dewsbury, and the bus goes through Otley, whatever it is, Ossett, which is where she lived. And I went and got off the bus there, and she met me in Ossett, and she said, "Let's go to this park," the park that she knew. Took me to a park. We sat down. I'd got some bottles of beer, gave her a bottle. I drank a bottle. We were chit chatting. Then she was putting her arm around me, kissing, blah blah blah. Anyway, long story short, I don't need to go into gaudy details. We went in the bushes and had sex. Yeah, single lass, single lad, drunken stupidity. I was a bit drunk, and it's part of depression that you do these kind of reckless things. That's what it is. It's not like a horrible guy like going around having sex with loads of women like he's greedy and this and other. It's depression, and he's putting myself in a reckless situation. I didn't really know the lady. I hardly spoke to her. I met her when my judgments were all over and I was a bit drunk and I didn't even know what was going on properly. But it still happened. And yeah, then we sat back down on a bench and we were chatting for another half an hour or whatever. My phone was dead at the time, and I thought I need to go charge my phone. So we go to the pub, and she went, "Oh no, no!" She just wanted to have sex again. She was constantly trying to say, "Let's go back to Bushes." I'm like, "No, no, I need to go. I need to go and get my phone charged." So we'll go to the pub, and we went to the pub, and I charged my phone. And then while we're in the pub, my ex girlfriend Amy Mole ran, and her full name is on when it rings. I've saved her in my phone as Amy Mole, so her full name came up. And at that point, yeah, I answered, and that lass was getting all jealous that we're talking to her, and she was like, "What?" Amy's like, "What are you up to?" And so I'm just in the pub with this lass, just met her, blah blah blah. I can't even remember the Katie or something. I said, "Oh yeah, Katie, do you want to talk to her?" And she put her on because Katie were acting like, "Oh, is that your girlfriend?" And I'm like, "No, it's my ex." Anyway, I put Katie on. She spoke to her, and Amy were like reassuring her, "Oh, trust me, I'm not with him. Been there, done it. Bought the t-shirt, blah 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 blah." And that were all cool, but she seemed a bit jealous about the Amy thing. And then I went to the toilet. She was there by. I went to the toilet. I had a shit. Not that that's relevant, but it is relevant because what she ended up accusing me of. So she was left on her own for about 20 minutes. Not 20 minutes, but 4 minutes. So if I'm some rapist or whatever, she'd have ran off. You know what I mean? She's there on her own. I came back down. We had a chat for ages, and then I said, right, you need to get home. You know what I mean? Because she said she lived in supported housing, and all this was new. She didn't tell me all this when I was first talking to her. And then she wasn't 100% right. In fact, my mate Amy, when I went on the phone, what am I on about? She was sending messages. I'm getting confused now. She was sending messages saying, "Be careful." I'm like, "What do you mean, be careful?" She just said, "This last sounds jealous. You know what I mean? Be careful." So that made me think, I know what she means. She means be careful. She might accuse you of something, which girls do. Any guy who's been around the block as much as I have, yeah, which is not a good thing. I'm not proud of it, but I've been around the block quite a lot these days, and it's accumulated. When you've been with 100 plus or whatever the case may be, 200 plus, that there's a percentage of women who are just dodgy and they're gonna make stuff up. I've met loads of them. I'll give you more examples very briefly, and then I'll get back to the story that I'm on. Right, I've met loads of losses. The one time, me and my mate Paul. No, sorry, it'll just drift off track and lose focus of this story. But yeah, I'll just say another brief one. Me and my mate Paul got accused once. We had a threesome with a lady who was in a relationship. She didn't tell us she was in a relationship. She spent the whole night with me and Paul. Paul made a breakfast. Me and her went to town. We hung around all day long. Anyway, long story short, she ended up going home. Who's ringing me now? Nicole. It's alright. She ended up going home, and the next thing I know, Paul's door were getting kicked down, and then same, they were hunting me, and she'd accused me and Paul of rape. And the reason being was because her boyfriend saw that she had a love bite on her breast, which Paul had done, and she lost a nipple ring, and he got crazy with her and argued with her and says, "What's going on? You've been cheating on me." And she said, "No, I didn't." She panicked because apparently he used to be violent, and rather than say, "Yeah, I've been cheating on you," she said, "No, I got drugged and raped." That's her words. She told this boyfriend that she got drugged and raped. I know the boyfriend now, and I know her. Well, she tried to get in touch with me and apologise and all this garbage. Too late, obviously. But anyway, that's what happened. He would rather believe, in them days, he'd rather believe that she was raped and drugged than she'd gone out of her way to cheat on him with two guys and lied to us both. She didn't tell any of us that she had a boyfriend. So he believed it, and he wanted to go to police, and she did. And yeah, we got arrested. Well, Paul got arrested. Then they questioned me and interviewed me. By the time they interviewed me, they'd already done the homework and they'd looked at footage of me and her and Paul in the club, and they'd seen that she was all over both of us and mainly me and that this and other. And what else? They'd also seen like CCTV of me and her walking about in the streets the next day and sat on a bus together and hanging out, and they just knew it was complete garbage basically. They knew that it was just garbage, and they said it was more the boyfriend that we were talking than her, so they knew that it was rubbish. But she kept it up for the sake of the boyfriend because she didn't want him to think that she would have cheated, and he still believed the garbage. And one time me and Paul were at a pub, yeah, in I think it was called New Inn, whatever the hell it's called. It was a rough pub in Leeds where they do karaoke or whatever. And we were there, and he turned up because someone had seen me and Paul, and he'd been telling everyone about us and this and that, like we rapists. And then he came into the pub with a lot of his mates, and he goes, "You raped my missus! You raped my missus!" And I'm like, "Don't talk out your ass, you stupid idiot!" And I was having a drink, and Paul noticed everyone in the pub were getting all evil, and that the people that we were friendly with were suddenly looking at us like we're scum, we're rapists, and they wanted to beat us up and that. But me being the sort of guy that I am, I was thinking, I'm finishing my drink, mate. I'm not going anywhere. Paul was like, "Come on, Foster, we need to get out of here." And I'm like, "I'm not fucking going anywhere." But I said, "Lord, I didn't rate you, Mrs. Mate." In fact, she had actually been trying to get in touch with me that day, that last, and she'd already got in touch and apologised and all this garbage, saying that she just did it because of her boyfriend in private. She was telling me all that, and I'd actually met her, and I didn't do out with her. I kissed her. I'd met her after and tried to record the goddamn conversation of her admitting that this happened. And I did. I put the goddamn phone in my pocket like I'm doing now. With most phones, you press record on a video, put it in your pocket, and it bloody turns off, doesn't it? And that's what happened. I met her at the park and I had this massive conversation with her where she was saying, "Oh yeah, it was just basically my boyfriend were going to beat me up." And I'm like, "Well, so basically, to let me and Paul go to prison potentially, get locked up, Paul lose his job, me not be able to see my kids, just to save yourself." And she's like, "Oh, I wouldn't have let it get that far and all this garbage." Anyway, long story short, like I'm saying, the damn thing didn't record, and I was so wound up about it because as soon as I put it in my pocket, it stopped. But I still got messages off her on Messenger where she's saying that she wouldn't have done it and she only did it for this, and she admitted that it didn't happen and this and that. So I had all that, and while he was coming out with this garbage, I was like, "Look, I've just been talking to her today, mate. Yeah." And I got my phone out and showed him the messages from her and this and other, and then he's like, "That's not her," and I'm like, "Bloody is her, mate. I met her the other day," and he's like, "Rubbish." I'm like, "I'm bloody met her, you freaking idiot. What is wrong with you?" But everyone were turning on me and Paul. Some lass that Paul was chatting up turned on him and said she was getting all aggressive with him, like fucking hate rapist and this and other. Anyway, Paul said we need to leave, and I was going to leave actually, and I set off outside, and that guy was following me. I'd always mates with him, and he was like coming out with shit, and I was like, "Look, I've just shown you on my blue phone, mate. There you go. I didn't fucking rape her. She's getting in touch with me." And then he snatched my phone off me. Oh, for God's sake! I had to grab him and get the phone off him, and then everyone came out then because I saw a bit of physical stuff going on, me pulling the phone off him and this and that. Everyone went out and like, "You need to fuck off me," and I'm like, "Well, I'm just explaining to him." And then some guy pushed me, attacked me. I had to push him back, and then everyone piled in. And Paul, at that point, he was trying to get me to leave, and I was like, I'm just trying to talk to him. Look, I'm trying to prove to him that I'm not a rapist, but they didn't want to hear it. And yeah, what happened? Everyone started throwing punches at me. I got jumped outside the pub. You know, some guy. I did this thing, this neck crank thing, because they were attacking me, and I was getting punched at this side, punched at that side, and I did this neck crank and pushed the guy, and he went over, so that stopped one guy. But then this big guy were like pounding away, with about 20 stone, you know, and it didn't really hurt. That's a good thing, because I managed to block most of it. And then everyone else were holding me while he was trying to punch me. But I still somehow managed to move my head and not get too much damage. But I still took a few shots, and I had a black eye in the centre. And yeah, so there you go. I could have got killed from some last lying about rape. And when the police, I told the police about it, they said you should record her. That's the only evidence you've got, recording people, isn't it? And that's what I tried to do, but it didn't work out. And I just thought, whatever. And then there were another lass once who I met called Elizabeth, who was 21, and she was 21, right? So she's only 21. I was about 30 odd or whatever at the time. Anyway, talking to her and just chit chatting, and she said she'd had 7 miscarriages, which fair enough, it does happen, but she was only 21 and she'd been raped 7 times by 7 different people, right? And this was after that event, so I thought, oh, here we go, it's one of them, isn't it? 7 times by 7 different people. And then when we ended up, I should have just left really, but then again, she'd have probably accused me of something. But I stayed and we had a drink, and I thought she was all right, you know. Maybe I was just a bit wary about that. What she said, 7 times, 7 different people. Anyway, we came to having sex, and then she were asking me to strangle her. Right, we were having sex, and she's asking me to strangle her, and I was thinking, whoa! I just remembered that she'd been raped 7 times by 7 different people, and here she is asking me to strangle her, and I had the sensibleness at that point to think, right, if I strangle her, I'm rapist number 8 because there's going to be evidence on her throat. So I didn't do it. I said, no, I'm not doing it. And she was kicking off for me not doing it. And anyway, I thought I'd record a conversation the next day. I recorded the conversation. I said, oh, do you always ask people to strangle you? And she's like, yeah, I love it. And I said to her, oh, okay. Well, and I just told her, because I had my kids the next day, I think it was, or the day after, it was Nate weekend. And I'm like, anyway, I'm just letting you know, because I don't want bloody police knocking on my door. I recorded all this conversation about us having sex and you wanted me to strangle you and blah blah blah. And I explained why, because of what happened in the past, and me and Paul got falsely accused of something and blah blah blah. So I recorded it and I let her know, and then the police never turned up, and me and her became sort of friends, and I did see her on and off for a while. So she was all right, but she struck again, not with me, but there was this neighbour, a nice Asian lad. I'd met him when I was up there. He was a good lad, shy, you know. Not that you can judge anyone. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors or anything, but seemed like a nice lad. Anyway, he was hanging around her, and she accused him of rape. You know, it was just after I started seeing a lass called Amy, so she was getting real jealous that I'd started seeing someone properly, and I liked her. You know, Amy became my girlfriend in the centre. And then suddenly I was with Amy, and she got in touch, or being raped, and she was all depressed. And me being a nice guy, I felt I had to. And she said she needed someone, and she was suicidal. I had to go up, you know, even though there were part of me thinking maybe she's lying, you know, because she's been raped 7 times before. I felt I had to just to go see if she was all right, and I went up and spent a bit of time with her and blah blah blah. But yeah, it turned out she was lying about that guy. Obviously, no happened. All the neighbours turned on that guy. He had to move and this and other, because they were thinking he was a rapist. But then they found out he was innocent, you know, and they all turned on her again, you know, because they knew she was a bullshitter. She was just a liar. So these women exist, and she lied about other stuff, and now I don't have hope to do with her now. But them women exist. So anyone who's been around the block has encountered a lot of women like that, or maybe I've just been unlucky because if you're going around the block and you're mixing with decent lasses, potentially not. But there's loads of lasses like that. Everyone knows it with any common sense. And when my friend said, "Be careful," I knew exactly what she meant. She meant, here you are with a lass who's getting jealous that I've just rang you. She's acting all weird. She wasn't 100% with it, that lass, anyway, which I was drunk, but I could still tell she wasn't 100%, she was living in supported housing, and I'm not with it myself, obviously. But, she was alright. She obviously met me off a dating site. She was on an adult dating site, met me and blah, 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 and wanted to go up bushes and this and that. Anyway, be careful, we're playing on in my head. I charged my phone, obviously, at the pub. Came to walking her home. We walked back past that park again, went back into the bushes. Be careful, be careful. Kept playing in my head. And we went back in the park and then we kissed again and we ended up flirting around and then having sex again in these bushes. And I got my phone out and recorded it. I recorded us having sex, which sounds horrible and you shouldn't do that. It's illegal to record someone without them knowing. But that's the reason that I didn't get locked up for rape, because I did that, and then on that there's all the evidence of me asking the questions. I thought I'm gonna have to ask, can I do this? Do you want to do this? And her saying yes, 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 and then she said no to other things. She didn't want to do this, didn't want to do that. So her saying no, me respecting those. Her saying yes, me respecting her yeses. Her making lots of pleasurable noises, enjoying herself. Me walking her home after the thing, chit chatting for ages, talking about she wants to meet me again, meet me next week, blah blah blah. I'd got all that on record, and that's the reason I didn't get locked up for rape. But they still had to take my phone for that, didn't they? Because I told them about it, and they took my phone and they kept it. The police did. But anyway, like I say, I wasn't 100% expecting it, but I'd saved my back that time because of the sad experiences with these kinds of women that lie about rape. So I'd recorded that, got back home. Next thing I know, door were getting kicked through with the bloody police, and I got arrested. And they took my phone because I told them I've got evidence of the phone. They got the phone. They kept the phone for ages. Yeah, they kept it for bloody ages. And then obviously it all got dropped because of the phone. That's why it got dropped, supposedly, because that evidence on phone. But then they still didn't. I thought surely I've got evidence of her consenting and blah blah blah. Surely they can bloody get her arrested because she said some absolute ridiculous story of like me taking her to this park. Like I took her there. I didn't even live in Ossett or Otley or Ossett. I didn't know nothing where the parks were or anything. I took her to this park. I forced her to have sex, raped her, bent her over on a what was it, on a fence. I mean, she was only like 5 foot. I mean, I'm 5'9", 5'8". I used to be 5'9", but recently I was 5'8.5" or something when I got measured. But I'm quite considerably taller than her, and supposedly I bent her over, forced her over on a fence, and raped her. And it wasn't possible to do that because we tried to do like her from that position, and it didn't work because she was too short, way too short. She was under 5 foot, maybe 4'11" or something. So it didn't work. And so everything she said was just a complete lie. She said I did that, and then I left her crying on the floor, and I said, "Oh, if you carry on crying, I'm going to do it again," or something like that. I mean, she's obviously not with it to come out with such a stupid ass story. But the reality is, if I hadn't recorded like I did, there would have been no goddamn evidence of what happened in the park, other than her word and my word. Yeah, and who would they have believed? Probably her. You know, that's just the sad reality. So the fact I recorded it was the right thing to do. And sadly, having spoke to taxi drivers and this and the other, they've all had that problem with women making false accusations about them. Obviously, rape happens. Obviously, guys are disgusting, some of them, and they do these things. But there's a hell of a lot of women who just make stuff up. And I was talking to a taxi driver about it, and he was so happy since he got the dash cam. He was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've got this, and if any woman accuses me about, I can just give the police this," and he has done. He's done it, and the women have looked stupid because they've obviously not thought that about the fact he's got a dash cam and it's picked everything up. He don't like losing his dash cam for ages though, but still, there you go, mate. That's just the reality of life. So I recorded that, and it was very important for me to get that phone back, and that's the gist of what I wanted a lift to that police station for, to pick that phone up that I wanted back. That was it. Thought it would be cool. A bit depressed the hell out of me for all that time. I was thinking, why on earth have they still got the goddamn phone? Surely that evidence is enough. Kept ringing up 101, and oh, we'll let you know when we're giving you it back. And then the officer were kicking off with me for recording. Why didn't you just leave? This is what she said to me, right? This is how silly a lot of people are. She was like, if you thought she was dodgy, why didn't you just leave? Why did you go back to the park and have sex with her again and then record it illegally? You know it's illegal to record people if they don't know they're being recorded. I'm like, yes. Well, okay. If I'd have just thought, right, she's dodgy, because you were getting jealous about Amy, and left and didn't have any recording, then she could have just said whatever, and I've had no proof that it was all consensual, and you'd have probably believed her. So there you go. Whether you agree with it or not, we agree to disagree. I did the right thing, because this recording is very beneficial for me, and it means that she had absolutely zero case. She's there acting like she were raped, and then there's a recording of her consenting and making pleasurable noises and having a good time, and then talking fine and walking her home, spending time together, everything cool and friendly, nothing horrible like she was making out. But the reason she probably did it is right. I went back to the pub. She went home, charged my phone again because I had a phone that needed charging every 2 minutes. Then I got on the bus back to Dewsbury. My phone died yet again because like I say, it needed charging every 2 minutes. It died when I was on the bus. Then when I actually got off in Dewsbury, I went to Asda. I don't think I put it on. It came on for like about 2 minutes again. I put the phone on, and then I saw that she'd sent a message like, "Leave me alone for my own safety." Initially, she was messaging fine. This is it. I'm drifting off track, right? Initially, after we went a separate ways, I walked to home. I went to the pub. She was like messaging, "Nice meeting you," blah blah blah. And I were doing the same. "Nice meeting you," blah blah blah. "Meet you again sometime." It was all cool, all friendly. But then the like I said, my phone went dead for a while. Then I got back to Dewsbury, put it on, and she'd sent a horrible message like, "Oh, you've got a girlfriend. I hope your girlfriend finds out what you've done. Anyway, do not contact me again for my own safety," and this and other. And I wanted to message her back, but my goddamn phone died before I got a chance. So I had to get all the way home to message her back. But she blocked me, so I didn't get a chance. So I fell asleep. Then my door was getting kicked down, and thankfully I had the evidence, and obviously not a damn thing happened. But I can't understand why they don't arrest her. And her friend got in touch with me, right? Because she saw me on Badoo or something, and then her friend Danny were like saying, "I know she's a liar. She lies about everything. I know you're innocent." Blah blah blah. And she's wanting to help, saying that I should be able to do something with it. But according to the officer that were dealing with it, if they felt there were enough evidence when they presented it to CPA or whatever, then they would have taken it the other way around and got her arrested, but they didn't. So I don't get that. But I didn't send other evidence that were on this goddamn phone, on this phone that I got back. And then even on Badoo, after this alleged rape, she was messaging me saying, "Oh, do you still like me?" and all this and other. I mean, what the hell? I should have thought there was more than enough evidence to do something, but whatever. It's extremely rare that this happens where women accuse people of rape and suffer anything. It doesn't happen, does it? That you get one article. There's that one article that goes around where that woman got accused a guy of rape who did hard prison time for years. She's ended up doing time, but that's mainly because of all the years in prison that he did. If the guy don't get arrested and he gets found not guilty, they're not going to give a woman any punishment for that. They'll just think fair enough, nothing, and that's basically what's happened. And that her mate, or like she ain't a mate, obviously she just knows her. She's like saying you should try and do something with it, and I haven't because I just think what's the point? maybe I could have done. Maybe that could have been something you guys could have supported me with, getting some kind of trying to get something done about that. Because I thought I could. I was thinking, I'm going to make an example of her. I've got proof. She's accusing me of rape and this and that. I've got proof I didn't rape her on this phone and this and that. But no, it's a weird situation. Maybe I could do. Maybe it was just the officer that didn't want to do it. She wasn't there to help me. She was there to gather the evidence and submit it. But anyway, long story short, I've left that. That's all done and dusted. That's why I just wanted the phone back, and I've got it now. My mate actually gave me a lift up there, so that was important for my mental health because it was stressing the hell out of me. Getting to Normanton when you've got all my problems, health problems, mental health problems, physical health problems, was extremely difficult, so I didn't do it. Yeah, so that's the problem with Louise. Did I do anything inappropriate? I don't think so. I mean, when she first started, she was friendly and really helpful, and she was putting kisses at the end of every message, which I thought were a little bit inappropriate, to be honest with you. But I thought, fair enough, some people do that, so it's cool. And I were doing the same, but then the whole demeanour changed, and there were no kisses on the messages, and it was just what it was. So that happened. And yeah. Is there anything to add to this one? I've already done one, haven't I? I mean, like I say, I appreciate the help that you've done. It just seems there should have been more. There should have been some more help, and there should have been people that made an effort and came and saw the state that I'm in and thought, yeah, we can help this guy. Let's look at his letters. Let's do this. Ask. Like I've heard, they've been above and beyond the Call of Duty. Like the lady that comes with Danielle said, they do a lot for a lot of people. Do more than what they're required to do sometimes. But that's with people who want to help. I guess with me, they don't want to. They don't think I need it. They'll think, oh yeah, look at his lifestyle because I've had a woman around or whatever. Just if people are promiscuous, it doesn't mean that they're fine. Often it means the complete opposite. If I were a woman doing this, would people be thinking, oh yeah, oh look at him, yeah, look at her, she's living the life? No, they'd be thinking, oh, you're giving yourself away. There'd be all that crap. Just if a guy does it, it's often the same things. It's insecurities, but I'm not really doing it anymore anyway. I've met a girl that I think is alright, and I'm gonna try and see her and see how it goes. So it is what it is. People make judgments. People get depressed. Like I say, the female friend that's been around here when someone came around, I help her because she helps me, and I let her stay here sometimes because she needs a break from her sister. The others, yes, it is what it is. I've explained that on the other video. I was helping someone other places there. The other one was bored out of her head because she gets one day a week off work. She doesn't do anything. She wants to do something on that Tuesday, but now she's got a boyfriend. She meets the boyfriend on that Tuesday. So it was all just that moment that it all aligned that there were three people here. It wasn't like I've got three people attending to every whim and doing everything I say whenever I want. That is not the case. I've got friends who can help when they can help, but friendship's a mutual thing. I help them, they help me. They're not always available. That's why support workers are cool, and they're there to help people like me who are in need of supported, just in need of support, not supported housing anymore, I don't think, but in need of some support, housing support could help. A little bit of help goes a long way. It's all about bonding with people, isn't it? People in these services. And Danielle, for whatever reason, she got it into her head after going to doctors with me. No, there's nothing wrong with it. All that garbage that is going to be said. And I thought I'll record these videos because why not? It needs to be done, doesn't it? Because I'm not going to write all everything down and articulate myself too well. I've got a drink problem. I was trying to go to chat. Yes. Yes, I always tell the 100% truth. There was moments where I was saying I don't really like a lot of the people down there. They like the sound of their own voice, blah 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 blah. But the last time I went, I thought, you know what, this isn't that bad actually. I went to the breakfast thing, and I sat with the people that were there. I had a chat with some of them. I'm a little bit shy initially when I meet people, I'm not sure. I'm talking to myself here, you know. So, but I had a few chats with some people, and they're all pretty cool, and we're all in the same boat. That's what's beneficial, isn't it? You're not on your own. We're all struggling with depression and substance abuse, you know, be it alcohol, be it drugs, be it whatever. And it were helpful for me to talk to these people, and I felt good. And I thought, you know what, this is something I want to engage in. And when I actually saw them, and they were like saying, that's something we can help you with. So that's the last time that I saw them. That's something we can help you with. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a letter. You don't need our support anymore. Okay. Last time you were here, you were going to help me with that. You were going to help me declutter more. You were going to help me with organisation. There was talk of helping with one room at a time, with tidying up. Yes, I know. Oh, you're not a cleaning service. I get that. Yes, this is not about a cleaning service and some lazy guy sitting around watching people clean his house. That is not the case. This is a depressed guy who needs people to help him. Who wrote a poem called "Depression is a Mattress on the Floor." Yeah. Yep, drinking whiskey, mate. Depression is a mattress on the floor. I haven't got anything to mix it with. Yep, what was I saying? Depression is a mattress on the floor. I've been depressed for a while. Got an alcohol problem. Whiskey, lager is the main things. And why do people do it? If everything was great in life, would everyone drink? I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's part of celebrating, and it? It's part of everything, drinking sometimes. You know, you win something, you win the lottery, you have a drink to celebrate. You know, you're at a funeral, you have a drink to drown your sorrows. You know, you at a wedding, you have a drink at the reception, you have a good time. So it is associated with a lot of things. But when you drink the next day and the next day and the next day, and it becomes part of everyday life, like it has done for me and a few other people I know, it's like it's different in it. Then they're doing it because they don't like reality. You know, reality sucks, and alcohol and drugs numb reality. So my reality is not great, and you know, physical injuries have been quite big. Have had such an impact on my mental health, I guess, because if you're physically knackered, it's quite depressing, isn't it? And I've not just give up and quit and thought, oh, this is my health, I'm knackered. I've been constantly trying to fix myself up, but it's very easy to give up and quit. I've tried a lot, you know, I've gone for physio, I've done this, I've looked stuff up online. I got a pull-up bar because I heard hanging on a pull-up bar is good for shoulder impingement. I've done multiple things, and sadly, it seems to always make things better initially, and then things go worse, and then it's like, oh, and it's easy to just give up and think, Jesus, I'm just stuck with this. Yeah, I'll have a drink, forget it. I can't do this, I can't do that. I might as well just have a bloody drink or overeat or whatever the case may be. Sometimes I overeat with depression, and so that's a major thing. You know, the physical and the mental go hand in hand with me. You know, because obviously releasing endorphins through exercise is something I used to be able to do when I was depressed before. I always had that as an outlet. Now I can't really do that because I do it and then I injure myself. It's like, what the friggin' hell can you do? It's depressing as hell. You know, what the hell can I do? It's like I want to go. I used to go for a run. If I go for a run now, it might feel good initially, but then Jesus, I'm going to be falling apart the next day, and then I'm going to feel worse, more depressed, and blah blah blah. So yes, I've got nothing wrong with it according to Danielle, but hey, I got diagnosed with low vitamin D 2014, which is a problem, and I took medication for it. You know, strong vitamin D tablets to try and sort it out, and did it sort it out? Maybe it did, and sitting in the sunshine and something. It helped a little bit, and then I got tested again. It were all right, but it's when you've had it low vitamin D to the point where I've had it, it's something you've always got to keep on top of. And I do take vitamin D tablets and that. Sometimes I forget because that's part of depression. But yeah, that's something I got diagnosed with. What else? Patella tendinosis. So my knees are a bit knackered, yeah? Every time I do too much, if I walk too much, run too much, bend over too much, up and down too much, my patella tendons are knackered because they've never healed properly. I did all the physio for that as well, but still, they never healed properly. One of the doctors that I had at my local surgery in Beeston, he had patellar tendinosis, and it was a long-term problem. In general, it is. You don't just get it, fix it, and then you're fine. Not when you get it in your 30s and 40s and 50s. It's don't no heals properly at that age for most people. If you get it when you're 19 and everything's super fast and healing in 2 minutes, you'd be cool. But I didn't get it till my 30s, and I haven't healed from that. So the running days have gone. If I do it too much, uh, from that, and then I got diagnosed with tennis elbow at one point on my right elbow. I got a bicep strain in 2014. I had physio for that. That never healed, and the main thing is the shoulder. All these problems started, like the bicep probably started knackering the shoulder, because before then I went into weightlifting all the time. I've had 10 years pretty much where I haven't done weightlifting, and I've got a lot smaller muscular wise than what I used to be, and a lot weaker. But like if I go back 10 years ago, I could do tons. I was fit as hell. Fit as hell. I could do loads of pull ups. So I've had years where I haven't been able to do anything like that, and without making things worse. So yeah, it all started with a bicep strain, and that affected everything, and it became chronic, and then shoulder impingement. I got diagnosed with in 2016, 17, and then everything, pretty much everything. When they saw me with the shoulder impingement, they were asking me to do press up motions against the wall, and they saw that everything was just all over the place. Like my one nipple's bigger than the other, yeah, because it's all wonky. My body's healed all wonky. When I'm doing a press up, it would feel like it's like I've got one arm here, one arm there, because everything's just pulling in weird places, and just said you're pretty messed up, mate. Honest, you're all messed up. And they put like taping on my back to try and hold things back to how they're meant to be, and I had to keep it on for like days, and it was weird, but it did help initially. But the same again, doing all these things they're telling me to do, and then knackered again. It makes things worse eventually. Am I doing too much? I'm just doing what they're telling me to do, so maybe I need to not do what they tell me to do and do even less. But then you do too little. You've got to strike the right balance. You've got to find that right balance. So yeah, they're major problems that I've had for so many years. I've restrained and reopened the shoulder problem and every other problem about countless times. I can't even name the amount of times. Thousands of times. Maybe not thousands, but hundreds probably. So it became a chronic problem, and that's something that affects me physically quite a lot and mentally, obviously. And then the other thing that I mentioned, because she's on about I don't mention anything, and she was saying there's nothing wrong with you. The other thing I mentioned is a brain injury that I had in 2015. Yeah, where that's had a major impact on my life, physically, mentally, everything. That is severe. That is like probably the biggest injury I've ever had, really. That and the shoulder go hand in hand as the worst things that have happened. Because that happened in 2015, which was after I'd knackered my shoulder, obviously. So I was physically a bit knackered anyway at that point. And yeah, I was really drunk. I'll tell you how this skull fracture happened. I was super drunk. I was living at my mate Joe's at the time, and I was kind of homeless at the time. That's when I got that support worker from Horton Housing. I was homeless because I used to live with my grandparents. My granddad died. The house got left to my mum and my auntie. They sold the house. I had to move out. I didn't find a place quick enough, so they gave me like 3 or 4 months notice. So I didn't find the place quick enough, and I ended up staying at my friend Joe's, and I stayed there for a while. But I didn't like being there all the time. I needed a break, so sometimes I'd go to Leeds, and I met my mate Vanessa. In fact, I'd gone to Leeds to meet a girl called Kel Taylor, and then she pulled out of it after I bloody travelled there. So like, bloody hell, how great is that? So I was so depressed. I'd gone all the way to Leeds from Liversedge, and ended up getting in touch with my mate Vanessa, my ex, and meeting her, who lived in Holbert, Hunslet. So I went to hers and having a drink with her, and this other lass that I'd kind of seen on and off, who were a bit rough, called Angie, were getting in touch when I was at Vanessa's, and she were like, "What are you up to? Can I come?" Yeah, I was just saying, "Oh mate, I'm actually in Leeds at the moment. I'm at my mate Vanessa's." And Vanessa were drunk, and she's like, "Tell her to come round, come round." Anyway, she came round. All's cool. They were all getting on, got on fine. But then Vanessa started getting jealous or something, and Angie were like, they were both arguing, and she's like, "Don't worry, I'm not here to steal him." And Vanessa's like, "I'm not interested in him," you know. And it all just got weird, and then Vanessa wanted her to leave, and she was really drunk, and I was drunk. It was like five in the morning, 6 in the morning. Thought I can't really let her walk on by herself like this, and I was kind of done with Angie anyway. She would have trouble causer. She would have drunk. She'd started seeing a friend of mine, Anthony, who was a bit rough, and I didn't like it. And anyway, I walked halfway home, and then we went to Tesco to get some beers because he said, "Oh, I'll have one last drink with me if we're done. I understand. We'll just have one quick drink at mine." And I went, "All right, then, cool." I went to get some beers, self serve. I was self serving, and then she said she wanted some cigarettes. I don't even smoke. I stopped smoking in 2015. Before then, and okay, get some cigs then. And then she went to the, obviously you can't self serve cigs, so she went to the till, and then there was someone behind, and he's like, "Excuse me, mate." Put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, "There's a queue here. You need to get to back at queue." But the lady had already started serving cigarettes that was at the till. I was like, "Oh, we're just getting cigarettes, mate. Don't worry about it." And the lady was like, "Yeah, we'll just serve them." Said, "No, mate. There's a queue. You need to get to back at queue." I'm like, you know, I said, right, right. And then the lady that was behind the till said, "Yeah, yeah, you just get to back at queue." I'm like, right, okay, it's just bloody cigarettes, you know what I mean? But fair enough, he had a point. Should have got to the back at queue. Everyone's queuing. So anyway, I left. I was a bit pissed off because he'd put his hands on me and this and other, and I was very drunk. And all right then, dickhead. Anyway, don't call me a dickhead. And, you know, we ended up arguing about something and this, that, and other. And then I was outside. We got outside, and he followed me outside into the car park at Tesco's. And then what even happened then? I was super drunk. That's the thing. So I remember things, but it was all a bit blurry and that. And I was in the Tesco car park, and he came out. He was going to work, so here I am, completely pissed out of my head with some drunken woman, about 6, 7 at morning or something, having been drinking for like 25 hours or whatever the case may be at the time. And here he was, stone cold sober, going to work. His keep more outfit that he had on, and we're arguing about something, and he's like, "Oh, it's you again." I said, "He said, don't." I said, "Don't call me a dickhead." I said, "Well, you're bloody acting like one." You know what I mean? If it were me, I'd have just said, "Just get the cigs, cool." You know, and I said, "Anyway, get back to your car, mate. Just leave us the fuck alone. Get to your car and have your fucking heart attack or something horrible." But I was pissed, and he was winding me up. And then he went to his car. No, he went to his van, whatever it was, work keep not van, and then he was still like there, and we were arguing with each other. I was a bit silly because he were like just staring at me through his car, and I put the bags down and said, "Right, come outside then, get outside," and he did. Came outside, yeah, came over, and then he cracked me over the head with something. This is the thing. This is the story, right? We were wrestling around, and then he must have cracked me over the head with something that he got from the van. Yeah, because Angie said that he had his sleeves rolled down, and then you were wrestling around with each other, and he cracked you over the head, and the next thing you're on the floor, and then you're lying there, the blood all over, blood coming out of my ear, and uh, then he drove off, and she was shouting, "Stay here," and he got in his van and drove off around the corner, and then he came back, and then he stood over me saying, "Sorry, mate," blah, 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 blah. You know, acting like he didn't do it wrong. You made me do it in this centre. So we, you know, there were an off-duty paramedic there at the scene who came running over and held my head in the right place to make sure I didn't die, and that saved my life apparently. So that happened, and Angie were there. the ambulance came. They took me to the hospital. They put me to sleep. You know, we're throwing up because I've been drinking anyway, so we're gonna be sick anyway. And they put me to sleep and did a CT scan and found out I had a bleed on the brain and I had a temporal skull fracture, hematoma. And yeah, they had to like I had to stay in the hospital for like 2 days, and you know, getting headaches and dizziness and all that rubbish. And anyway, long story short, the police spoke to me. I saw Angie. Angie didn't speak to the police. That was it. She hadn't spoke to them. And but she'd said initially that he'd cracked me over the head with something. When I saw her, she said, yeah, he had something rolled up. He had his sleeve rolled up. He'd gone to the van, came out, cracked you over the head with something. Then he drove off and then came back. That was what she said. Then the off-duty paramedics' first statement collaborated with that. Yeah, and that's what he did. He went off. You know, he cracked me over the head with something, drove off, came back. So I had to believe that. You know, the guy was like 20 stone. He was massive, like stocky bloke. You know, I'm only like 13 stone or whatever. He was like, what's that guy? Big Joe Egan. He kind of looked a bit like him. He wasn't young. You know, he was like about 50, late 40s. So like that Big Joe Egan. He looks like he was like what would you call hardest white man in whatever. He used to spar Mike Tyson. He's an actor as well. Big Joe Egan. He was an ugly bastard, but they kind of all look alike. You know what I mean? These people, they come off a conveyor belt. I've seen loads of people look like that. But anyway, I had a skull fracture, and they thought it was like from blunt force trauma. You know, like an impact, something will hit over my head, not his fist. You know, but uh, then the off-duty paramedic changed his statement. That was it, and then he omitted the part about him driving off. So I'm thinking, what he paid off, and then so the only other person that could collaborate that story about him cracking me over the head with something and him driving off, which is what I was told, was Angie. And then Angie came to see me in hospital. I went to stay at hers, and she was trying to get in touch with the officer to give a statement and tell him what happened. And he wasn't answering at the time. He went back till blah 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 date. But then Angie were getting jealous that I was talking to my other mate on the phone, Joe, who I used to live with before this bloody thing happened, and said, "Oh, if you're just going to talk on your phone, you might as well fuck off." Like, what? Really? I just had a skull fracture, I had a horrible headache, and she basically kicked me out at 6 in the morning in Beeston. Every time I was walking, I was getting pains at the side of the head because it was like jarring the injury. Because initially I felt fine, and I got out of the hospital and I walked from Leeds to Belle Isle and saw my dad and had a drink and met Angie, and then we were just acting like normal and nothing had happened. But then it obviously took its toll, and I wasn't meant to be doing all that stuff. They didn't advise me well enough, and it was jarring the fracture. I should have been keeping still. I'd had a concussion and I had a fracture on my skull there, and all this running around and walking and this and other were basically jarring the injury, and it was like a cracked egg. If it keeps shaking about, the crack gets bigger, and that's kind of what happened with the skull fracture with me. Uh, and when she kicked me out at 6 in the morning, I was taking a few steps, and I was getting a frigging headache every time I walked a few steps. I was like, Jesus, this is horrible. I've got to stop. So I did. And I walked a bit, stopped. Had to get my mate to pick me up, and she did, thank the Lord. But anyway, long story short, I kept getting in touch with Angie about giving this statement, and she never answered. I said, well, this guy's going to get away with cracking me over the head with something if you don't tell the bloody truth. And she won't answer. And then the officer kept ringing me up, like saying, "Oh, have you heard it from NG?" And I'm like, "She's not answering me. You know, it's a bit crap. We need her statement." He was saying, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know we do, don't we?" But she wouldn't do it. Like, it's just because I didn't want to be with her. That's the gist of it. So it's like you would let a guy get away with cracking me over the head with something that's done all this damage because you're not going to give a statement because you don't like me because I'm not having sex with you. Basically, that's the gist of it. And I ended up going to Leeds once and thinking, you know what, I'm gonna have to just cold call hers and hope for the best. And I did. called her, got some beers, we had a drink. She apologised. She said, "Oh yeah, we're just being stupid." I says, "Right, are you gonna do it?" And she says, "Yes, I'm gonna do it." And says, "I'm gonna talk to the officer, not because me and you are cool now, just because it's the right thing to do." They were her words. Like, cool. So I spent like 2 hours at hers, sat in the kitchen, having a drink, having a chat, having a laugh, listening to music, all cool. Then I had to go home. It was in Beeston. She walks me up Dewsbury Road. Uh, she was doing the statement. She tried to ring the officer, in fact, when I was there, and he wasn't there. He was going to be in there next day, tomorrow, so she was going to ring him next day. Walked me up Dewsbury Road, and then she asked if I'd lend her 20 quid, I believe. I thought, you know what, you can have, I'll give you 20 quid, yeah, there you go. Because you're doing me a big favour, there you go get yourself a beer. Because she wanted to go to Broadway pub on Dewsbury Road. Gave her the 20 quid, I got on the bus, never heard from her ever since. And that's like 2015. She's never said a word to me since, and she's certainly not gave a statement, yeah. So she never gave a statement. She got 20 quid off me. I didn't bother going again because it just, I wasn't appreciated. I wasn't going to be welcome. She wasn't doing the statement. I tried to get in touch with her. She never answered me. I tried to get in touch with her mates. Her mates said she doesn't want to talk to you. So that horrible woman let this guy get away with cracking me over the head with something. That's messed me up, hasn't it? That's something that really messed me up. That never got answers. Plus, I was so drunk I never saw the guy properly. He just looked like a guy that come off a conveyor belt. It's that same look. Loads of guys look like it, whether they're about late 40s, stocky, going grey. You know, big lads. They're usually builders. You know, it's like that kind of build. He had to keep that outfit on. He was a builder. You know, a boss. He was a boss. He wasn't just like a little worker. This guy, well, like a better outfit than just the general labouring ones. The big stocky guys. You know, but they're all over. I've seen loads of guys who look like him since. And I've been walking that street and I've seen him and I'm thinking, is that him? Is that him? Is that him? Because I haven't met the real guy himself, which I've wanted to do. So when the whole thing got dropped, because Angie didn't give a statement, and the officer said that's the main reason it probably got dropped, to be honest, because she didn't give a statement, so you didn't have anything to back you up, and nothing were on CCTV, which is quite disappointing. I couldn't believe that. How unlucky am I? There were no footage of anything happening on CCTV. There was no one who saw me punch him punch me. Just him saying I attacked him and he defended himself. I don't remember punching him of any sort. It was just like a bit of wrestling around because he came over running at me aggressively, and I was really drunk and vulnerable anyway. I was so drunk, anyone could have probably beat me up. My son would have beat me up in that state, but you know I was dizzy just walking, so he took advantage in that situation. Plus, he's a big, massive dude. You know, the officer was saying what possessed you. You know, the size of him. His hands are bigger than you. His fists are about the same size as your head in the centre of her. And he was like saying, even I won't tackle him. I'm like, all right, great, cool. And I just said, well, if that's the case, he needs to be responsible then, doesn't he? You know, if he's so big and robustly put together, capable, he doesn't need to be cracking people over the head half his size, does he? Size doesn't matter about it. You know, size isn't everything. I live in the real world with that kind of thing. But when you're a sitting duck and you're really drunk, and someone obviously might know what they're doing, or they crack you over the head with something, it does matter. So the gist of it is, it got dropped. So I told the officer I want to meet the guy. Yeah, I want to meet the guy, so I can put it in a box, move forward, and forgive and forget. So please let the guy know that I want to meet him and I want to forgive him. I want to meet him, shake his hand, whatever the case may be, and also so I can see him and put him in a box and I know that's him and it's not this guy that I'm seeing and that guy that I'm seeing. Like they're all laughing at me, you know, oh yeah, that's that little shit, yeah, he was on the floor bleeding from the ear, blah blah blah. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see the guy, but he didn't. He didn't obviously want to see me, so it never happened. Never happened whatsoever, and that messed me up. And also, I was terrified of confrontation for a long time after that because I had a cracked skull. Yeah, temporal skull fracture which didn't heal properly, and it kept reopening. I kept getting little bangs to the head, and then I was in agony, and like I went to hospital and had more scans because it was terrible, you know, the headaches, and they were thinking every little knock I was getting at the beginning, it was pathetic. Honest to God, it was like just a small knock, like my daughter hit me over the head with like a bottle of milk, you know, plastic, and friggin' got a fucking horrible pain in my head and pain where the fracture was after that, and it's like Jesus, back to them years when it was worse than what it is now. It has improved somewhat, I'll give it that. It was horrible, and I was scared to death of any kind of confrontation and violence. And it seems like I'm walking around and it's around you, you know, and it's like people are aggressive, and it's always been around me, I guess, for some reason. There's always someone, you know, you meet a girl and they've got some aggressive ex, and there's always someone that's you feel like you might have to do something and defend yourself against, and this and that. So it's always there, isn't it? And it was there for me. But I had a long time where I was scared to death of it, and I even got bullied by a neighbour, you know, like because I just didn't like the confrontation. I had a bit of confrontation with him and stood up to it, and then I backed down because there were fear there, you know, thinking, oh, last time, look what happened, you ended up dead on the floor, and now I'm vulnerable because I've got a cracked skull and can't take many more knocks. If I get knocked there, I might die. All this scare tactics were there for ages. I only broke out of that when someone hit my mum, and even then, breaking out of it, I was scared to death breaking out of it. A guy who my mother was with and is with apparently hit my mum, and she got in touch with me and told me about it. And I was like, really? Great. And at the time, my mate Joe was giving me a lift to meet a lass. I cancelled the date, obviously. I thought I'm going to have to go get my mum out. Obviously. Priorities and everything. So I got Joe to give me a lift to get my mum. We were on the way through Beeston. She lives in she lives out at West Park, but we're going that way anyway. Going down there, Showcase Cinema and stuff. So I said, why don't we ring Paul? Because I was feeling a bit nervous about potentially having to deal with a violent guy. You know, who's just hit my mum when I haven't been in any kind of fight or defending myself since 2015 when I died, pretty much. You know, when I almost died. So this is like 2017, 2 years where I was just scared, and I was getting nervous, thinking I should be able to handle Paul. You know what I mean? He's called Paul, and he does martial arts. Give him something, yeah. He does martial arts. He can do like 50 press ups. I'm knackered with that kind of thing, and I was knackered then, and I couldn't do it like that. But still, I was a naturally tougher guy than him. No disrespect, but I'd thrown him out of a wedding once before when he was kicking off with someone, and he's a lot stronger than he looks. I'll give him that. And he was gonna handle this guy that I had to drag him off. It was twice his size, and that at that point, so he's a little bit strong, but I was a level above, and I'm a bit younger than him. You know, he's like 50 odd or whatever, or about late 40s at the time or something. I should be able to handle him, but I was nervous. I was nervous, you know, and thinking if he kicks off, what? I can't get it outside the head. I've had a skull fracture, blah, blah, blah. So I got my mate Paul to get in car with us. We picked him up, and he was going to back us up. He was coming upstairs with us, and blah blah blah. But we got there, and he went, "I stink car, Foster. I stink car." He bottled it basically. I stink car. You got there, which were basically because he was trying to chat Joe up, my mate. He wanted some time on his own with it, I think. So like, you got, you don't no trouble. Just go up, go get your mum. Come back down. I'm like, all right, then. All right. Cheers, mate. See you later. Went upstairs, got in the lift, thought, right, well, I got in the lift and thought, right, gotta take a deep breath here, and if he's violent, I'm gonna have to bloody defend myself or whatever. Obviously, for my mum's honour and this and that. And, yep, got in there and just said, what's been going on? Lee, I didn't do no, mate, no, I won't do no, I won't do no. And they were all just getting heated, and she was like, stop lying, oh, you did this, you did that, and no, Lee, I won't do it. But then he started getting more angry, and he said, just fuck off, shouting at my mum. And then he was like, yeah, and I did it on what? To me? I'm what? I'm what? And I just freaking lost my temper and just knocked him out, basically. That's the gist of it. I just saw red, punched him on the nose first, and the blood all over the place. That was a good move. Well, not a good move because it was messy. And then I cracked him another time, and then he's on the floor. And then I started kicking him when he was unconscious, and my mum like, get off, pull me off. And then he came round, and you know, he was fine. He was apologising, and it was all good. but I got over the fear of violence for having to defend my mum because he'd been violent to my mum, and I had to do that. And it was horrible. I actually felt really bad, because I was thinking that scene. It was horrific. There was blood literally all over from the nose punch mainly, and it just like he stood up, and then the blood was pouring all over. There was like a lot of a heavy ass bleed, but it was all over his face as well because he'd been up floor and that. And I felt bad. I felt really bad for him, and then I was thinking this guy has actually had a head injury as well himself, and here I am knocking him out again. You know what I mean? He had a head injury at work. Someone fell on his head, and yeah, there you go. And I felt bad, and I took my mum back to mine, and wanted to make sure you were all right. So that's the gist of it. Once you had an injury like that, you don't want to hurt other people that much. Once you've had it yourself, so I kind of thought, well, I can do something. I'm not a complete wimp who every time has to do something ends up laying up floor with blood pouring out of his head. And I got over the fear of confrontation a little bit. The neighbour that was bullying me, he attacked me, and I just pushed him over. I didn't hit him; he's an older guy, but I was scared of him for some bizarre reason. Everyone was scared of him in that area, personality-wise, because he was a very strong, dominant personality type who people used to argue with, but they used to always back down. Really, most people. And yeah, I dealt with him a little bit without having to hit him because obviously I wasn't going to hit him because he was old. He was like 60, but he was big, strong, 60. He was like Sean Connery, and he didn't think anything of me. He fancied his chances against me 100%. Like, hence he grabbed me by the throat and tried to throw me around and that. So I just pushed him over, fell over. It did the job. So all them years of bullying, 2 years of getting bullied by this idiot who was moaning about everything, stopped because I stood up to him. And that was it. Then also I got jumped outside that pub, didn't I, for the rape garbage that last that were lying, like I told you about earlier. And I wasn't even hurt in that, and I got hit outside the head. So I thought, you know what, I'm healing a bit, and the fear of confrontation eased off because I'd been in a few more situations, and there were one or two where I had to defend myself after, and I did all right, and I didn't die and get a skull fracture and this and other. But I can't handle it like I used to do. Certainly not. And that's the impact of this brain injury that I had. I had all them years where everything was a nightmare. I was scared to death of confrontation, and every time I'd get a little bang, I had a concussion. And it's happened since. There was one time I banged my head in a car boot, I got a concussion. Another time that I was just in a girl's bed that I was seeing, and I misjudged. Like, I was just jumping myself, propelling myself up onto bed, and I banged my head on a bloody radiator. I got a concussion, and my concussions are never at the time. Like, apart from that head injury, I've never been unconscious, and I wasn't even unconscious on that. To be honest, I was on the floor with no blood pouring out my ear, but I was still awake. And I've never been knocked out or anything, so I don't even feel it that much at the time. It's always after. So even though I got a bad concussion with that, banging my head on the radiator, I didn't feel it at the time, but the next day is terrible. And I was just getting them every 2 minutes. And then I got a chronic one when I got jumped and attacked in 2001, I believe it was, 2001. Yeah, that was horrible. That was a bad one. Oh, it 2000, I can't remember, I get mixed up. When I got jumped by four people and I got booted in the head and stomped on the head and blah blah blah. And I had a terrible concussion after that, so I'm prone to concussions. That's the effects of brain injuries. Also, your memory is not the same. You forget things. My what now? Yeah, my best mate's brother had a concussion. He works at the co-op, and he used to work at the co-op actually near me. There used to be a co-op just down the road, I believe, on the way to Hetman Wyke, and he used to work at that one. And basically, two guys came in and robbed the place. And when he went on floor, emptying the safe or something like that, this guy kneed him in the head twice. Even though we're doing what they asked him to do anyway, this guy kneed him. It's all on CCTV. It was all recorded. They got arrested and that, which is good. But this guy kneed him in the head twice and knocked him out. big lad as well. You know, my mate's brother is a massive lad, but these guys just need him. This guy needed him in the head twice and knocked him unconscious, and he has suffered quite a lot from that. His short-term memory is gone, and yeah, he just forgets things. His temper is a little bit worse and confused easy. But he still held it together and went back to work. But he didn't want to work at the same place. It obviously had a bad impact on him. Some big strong lad like Lee, he's called, and but he didn't want to go back to that co-op, and he got moved to a different co-op in the centre. So it does have an impact on you. You know, I wanted to reface the scene of the crime and meet the guy that did it. Obviously, for me to move forward, that's something that I needed to do, and maybe it was something you guys could have helped with because that's been a traumatic thing. I got that Tesco's when I'm in Beeston. Revisit it. Obviously, that's the scene where I almost died, and I'm in that car park, and I can remember it. But you just face things, don't you? That's the kind of guy that I am. I'm not a coward. I am brave. Obviously, I was a bit too brave when I almost died, but it's the best way to be, isn't it? You've got to have some common sense, obviously. But yep, that's major damage. Having a head injury, I've probably got CTE because since then I've had subsequent concussions. I've been more prone to concussions, and I had bangs before then. A lot of bangs. I got stabbed. I got this, that, and the other. I got jumped by multiple people. Got into fights. Had to defend myself. Blah blah blah. But I never had anything like a concussion, not even remotely, until then. And then since then, things that wouldn't have gave me a concussion have given me a concussion, and that's what you're left with. That's why a boxer gets brutally knocked out. The more easy to knock out again. That's just facts of life. You know what I mean? That's just your resistance goes. You get more chinny, as the case may be, as a boxer. And I don't think I'm particularly chinny. Not that I'm a boxer anyway, but you know I can take things, but it's the after effects. It's not like I get fall over and I'm knocked out, but even though I'm getting severe knocks and I'm handling them, it seems if I do get them, the after effects for me is bad, and I'm suffering, and then I'm in a lot of pain. I tell you what, I used to hate. The worst thing for me was shopping. After that head injury, I used to hate going to supermarkets. It was so much stress. I'd be there walking, and it's because I couldn't see what was outside of me. Like I almost died from someone cracking me outside the head with something. You know, a weapon, a fist. I think it was a weapon. I kind of told it was a weapon, but the police are running along with this fist thing now because this is the other thing about the guy. He didn't mention to the police about driving off. The off-duty paramedic said it. Angie said it, but Angie never gave a statement, and the off-duty paramedic changed his statement like days later and omitted that bit about him driving off and just said that he was there on the scene and he was a nice guy. To me, it's like he got paid off or something to suddenly change his statement to dissing the guy to say how he was a nice guy. And yeah, also the officer were like how nice the guy was, or you know, Lee is a really nice guy. He's what I'd call a gentle giant. That's what he said. Gentle giant. Gentle. I said, well, he wasn't very gentle with me, was he? He said, Lee, first person to ring up. He cried. He cried when I told him that it was over, and he won't no charges. I'm like, well, so did I. Yeah, I did. Which I didn't, but you know, I could have done. And then what else did he say? He said, Lee, first person. He really liked him, this guy. The officer that we're dealing with it liked the guy. He said, Lee, first person to ring up to see how you are. It was him. That's the thing with him. He rang up to see if you were alright. He was distraught. He wanted to know if you were alright. Like, okay. Right. Well, why didn't he want to talk to me? He's ringing you up to see if I'm alright. Let him know I want to talk to him. Why doesn't he want to talk to me? Basically, he's obviously a fairly well off guy. Like I say, we're working for Keepmoat, but it wasn't like a labourer's Keepmoat outfit he had on. It was like some kind of boss. So he's doing alright. He's obviously got solicited up, and they've advised him to say that. To ring up, you do what you know. You just look at. You can look up advice on bloody YouTube, and it'll tell you ring up, act concerned about the victim, blah blah blah. All this is going to look good for him, and it did. And obviously that officer had fallen for it. If there weren't any genuine concern about me and this and other, he would have got in touch with me. He would have wanted to apologise to me personally, wrote a letter to me, this and other. Did nothing like that. He was doing it for the officer to look good. It didn't matter about looking good to me, does it? I'm not the officer. It don't matter if I'm thinking, oh, what a nice guy he is. He couldn't care less. So that's what I took from that. That is something that's messed me up, because the lass stitched me up. She saw something, she could have helped. She didn't. He got away with whatever he did. I've not met him. I've wanted to meet him to move on. Never happened. I've just had to deal with it, Anna. Just had to deal with that mess, and it's not being faced, and that's mentally had an impact on me. I don't know who the guy is. I know that he works for Keepmore. He said his name was Rodney, I believe, but his name probably wasn't Rodney. He was probably just saying that, thinking, oh, police come in, blah blah blah. I don't bloody know. He's a big guy who works for Keepmore. Yep. And what is it to say other than that's something that I needed to do to move forward, isn't it? And that's something you guys could have helped with, and blah blah blah. But it didn't happen. What am I saying? Yeah, my phone's saying memory low. Okay, so it didn't happen. I didn't get that. That's something that's had a major impact on my mental health and my physical health. Like I say, concussions. You're more prone to concussions. I've probably got CTE because I've had multiple concussions. You look at American footballers. What's concussion? The film with Will Smith. Look up A League of Denial on YouTube. That's a brilliant documentary, and it's about like American footballers and all the bangs to the head that they have and concussions and this and the other. It's really brilliant, and sadly I've probably got that. And a mate of mine who lives down the road, Gary, who used to be a boxer, we've spoke about that, and he thinks he's got it, and he probably has potentially. He's probably got it worse than me. His speech. If you see a clip of him interviewed, because he's on YouTube, you can see him being interviewed in 2000 and whatever, for whatever, I don't even know the years, but there's some stuff of him. And then you see him talking in 2022. There's been a significant change in his speech, which could just be he drinks a bit, like a lot of depressed people. Could be all that drinking drugs deteriorated him a bit, but it's probably all the bangs to the head as well. And CTE is quite a serious thing, and I've probably got that, because I've had that many goddamn concussions. It's gonna be there, and then you're on one train of thought, and then you go to another train of thought, and blah blah blah. I think I'm sort of intelligent, you know what I mean, but depression makes you not articulate yourself, and I'd like to say there's no way on God's earth you can have as many concussions as I've had and not have significant brain damage and long-term effects, especially the bad one that I had, where I had the bleed on the brain and the skull fracture. That was just not a concussion. That was a mother of all concussions, and it lasted years. It wasn't just the mental side of it was the physical side of it. The headaches I'd get. I couldn't even sleep on one side because the pain was at that side of the brain. I was getting swelling on the brain, like it felt like my skull was going to crack open again because there was that much swelling. It was just terrible. The years of shit that I had from that, and I've still got a little bit, but it's kind of eased off. It has healed somewhat, which I was thinking were never going to happen, and I was always going to be this little vulnerable guy walking around with a cracked head. But it's healed a little bit, and yeah, I've been in situations where people have struck me, and I'm still here. You know what I mean? I haven't died like I was thinking for them 2 years. I was scared to death. Not that I want to keep chancing it, and I don't want any violence. Obviously, I just want to live life and have a peaceful life. But like I said, damages of concussion, the mental and the physical, is pretty severe. So that's the big one. I've been talking about this one a while, haven't I? So I guess it's quite big, that. And brain injuries are. Someone has a brain injury, they're messed up, aren't they? So I've had more than one. I've had that one, I've had that one, and that one, all these multiple concussions since. But I had a severe one, and then I've had others on top of that. And you look at, like I say, what we're on about. League of Denial. Obviously, I haven't rehearsed any of this. I should have done, really. Should have had notes. But depression, mental health. League of Denial has a lot of cases of people with concussions and what it's done for them. So if I've been slightly difficult with people, maybe that's part of that as well. You know? Well, maybe I'm just like that. I don't know. I don't think I've not been inappropriate with anyone working here. I've been alright, you know. But yeah, there you go. That's a head injury. Okay, shut up then. I'm going on a bit, mate. Yeah. This one's gone on a bit, but like I say, I've been waiting for someone to call me and contact me to see what I've done that means I don't require any housing support from you guys. And I don't know why you've came to that conclusion. There's nothing wrong with me. I mean, someone, I can only speculate because I haven't seen the letter and no one's told me. So I will speculate, in my humble opinion, it's judgments that have been made that, and from what Danielle said, that I went to a party, one of my best mates' birthday parties. So if you're able to do that, you're able to tidy up. Like it's the same thing, and it was some big gigantic physical effort to do that. No, I had to do that. If you got any loyalty and you're a decent friend, you're not gonna not go on to your best mate's birthday party when they really want you to go, are you? Even if you're super depressed, if you got anything decent about you, you're gonna pull yourself together and do it for them, just same as you would for your kids and this and that, you know. So that's what I did. Uh, yeah, judgments, isn't it? They came around and I've had Katrina here. Like I said, she stayed at mine when I haven't been here sometimes. Okay, I've kind of explained that. You know, she lives with a sister. She's a sister's carer. I let her stay over there every now and then. Fine. You know, I've not here living the high life. You know, going around having parties and drinking and having a good time. And no, I've got a drink problem. This is not fun. This is not fun to be sat here drinking during the day, is it? By myself. What have I been doing the last days? I've been by myself every single day. I've had coronavirus, yeah, tested positive for coronavirus. Have I still got it? I don't know. I keep doing tests. I did one yesterday and it had a slight faint line, so I might still have it now, slightly. It's only very faint, so I'm probably not infectious anymore. No, but I've been at home with coronavirus. I was going to go to the dentist. I'd booked myself an appointment with the dentist because I've got toothache, and I found out I had coronavirus, so I couldn't go there with a clear conscience because I thought I don't want to potentially give it to other people and sick people and a dentist of all people who's going to be seeing multiple people. And oral health, that's the 100% worst, most guaranteed way to spread it, isn't it? So basically, I cancelled that appointment. If I'm such an arsehole and not a nice guy or whatever, I wouldn't have done that. Not that anyone's ever said that. They're just saying they don't need housing support. But for whatever reason, like I say, I'm just being in. I've had to be in actually because I've got coronavirus and I don't want to go out and spread it. I've been in by myself in this tip, keep thinking about tidying up, but I don't. You know, I have done a little bit. So I get up and I do a little bit, and then I stop and do a little bit. It's just drinking, depression. It's just an ongoing thing, and that's why I wanted to start engaging in chart and going down there like once a week, one or two things. But it's the money. I haven't got the money. I don't get great money. I've got, according to Danielle, I get all the money that I deserve. You know. You don't. Did you ever get PIP? You're on the benefits you're on the right benefit. That's her words. I'm on the right benefit. And I'm like, right, because I thought maybe I should be on PIP personally because of my severe problems. And she's like, no, you're on the right benefit. And they're like, well, no, I don't get PIP. And she's like, well, have you ever got PIP? You don't take medication. And I'm like, okay, this all judgment about medication. Fair enough, a lot of people do that. They make that judgment. I don't take medication. My friend takes medication. I'm more depressed than my friend. Okay? My friend is depressed, but they take medication. maybe I'm more depressed because I don't take it. They could look at it like that, but then again, I don't like taking medication. Can you not have a freedom of choice? Does it mean that you're not depressed if you're just against medication? I'm against that kind of thing that things that mess with your brain. I don't really like. I don't mind taking vitamin D tablets, but stuff that's to mess with your brain is a bit strange. And I think that the brain is something that you can do initially. Would you be depressed? Would I be depressed if I were there playing with my kids? You know, it's what you're doing with your life. I think more so than medicating yourself for depression, in my opinion. But hey, we've all got our own opinions, haven't we? So it doesn't mean I'm not depressed just because I don't take medication. Mm. Yeah, we spoke about quite a lot this time, haven't we? Brain injuries. Mm. Guess it's just great negligence that people have decided that I don't need support. But then again, do I want support from you kind of people? Not necessarily you who's watching, but people who've made judgments about me and thought that I don't need support. Do I want support? Would I engage in support? Of course I bloody would, but I don't want it from these people that have made goddamn judgments like that. Like the only one that's alright is the lady who comes with her, but then again, she's clearly made a judgment as well, so she'll be backing her up and whatever. It's just all seems bizarre that a guy who's been with mental health services all his life, never had one problem, and everyone's known I'm genuine and this and the other, encounters a group of women and all of them seem to be acting like, oh yeah, he doesn't need it, there's not wrong with him, blah blah blah. Obviously, it's quite bizarre that there's so many of them because I've had none in the past. I've had the complete opposite of that. And by there being lots of them, it's like they can all collaborate with each other, and that's like I'm a problem. And the son of I'm not a problem. I've never been a problem. Everyone's cool with me. I'm cool with them. It's just simple. You should have had a basic setup and a routine, and someone coming around and helping with this, helping with that, once a week, whatever the case may be. And it should have all just flown along and been fine. Like it would agree to, they were going to help me with this, help me with that. They changed the days, fair enough, because other people needed support and blah blah blah, and they were short staffed. But it's just having a goddamn routine, isn't it? And having that in place psychologically is going to help someone. It's just like psychologically going to chart, whether it's great or not. You're psychologically committing to something, and you feeling like you're going in the right direction. And I guess with this, if someone were coming once a week's definitely enough. I didn't want to twice a week would have been too much really. Once a week for me would have been fine, and it's just a day where we take care of a few things. Should have been checking the mail, maybe going down the chart, and all these other things that need doing. Look, and the place is a mess. Yeah, you're not cleaning service. Help me declutter. It's not natural to me. Declutter, organisation, reading letters. They all just get to me. I'm gonna read this letter when it finally gets here from you guys. But yeah, you don't need us. You don't need the service as much as other people. Okay, really. And why is that? What people got to understand: physical and mental health is more crippling than the physical health to a lot of people. Yeah, depression is more crippling than breaking a leg to a lot of people. If you stay in bed all day, it isn't often depressed person staying in bed all day. It isn't because they're lazy. It's because they're depressed. It's because they're lacking motivation, they're lacking structure, they've got no reason to get up, and someone is, these workers could have done a hell of a lot more with me. They really could. It's a tragedy that I've been treated like this, and people are thinking there's no wrong with them. He's alright. Never mentioned mental health. That is the most complete rubbish I've heard in my life. When she wrote back to me, "You've never mentioned your mental health." I mean, what? I've mentioned it to everybody. I always mention my goddamn mental health. I mentioned it at the beginning. There's no one's asked about my mental health. What they just, they get there. What the hell? It's just, I'm just so disappointed in the thing. When we've been speaking about things that they were going to help me with, and then suddenly I don't need help. Well, what were we just talking about last time you were here? It's quite confusing, isn't it? Confusing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with me. Your doctor says it's fine, you're fine. Yeah, that doctor's great, isn't it? Doctors, because a doctor who's not a good doctor for me said everything was fine. It must be true. Yeah, it's not like people aren't meeting the doctors and been told they're fine and then dropped dead, is it? It's not like Mike Reed didn't just get given, the guy who used to play Frank Butcher. He got given a clean. I remember reading when he died, he got given a clean bill of health, fit as a fiddle, feeling fit as a fiddle, and then he just dropped dead of a massive heart attack. Um, my best friend Joe, her dad, kept going to the doctors, so he did recognise that he had a problem. So he kept going to the doctors, talking about chest problems and feeling tired and chest pains and this and the other. And the doctor was like, "Oh, nothing wrong. You work too hard. Your muscle, blah 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 blah. You're fine." And checking him, and everything was fine. And he didn't give him an angiogram, which is what he needed. Anyway, he ended up dying of a massive heart attack. And they found out his arteries were blocked as hell. You know, his diet was terrible. He used to eat a lot of crap, which I do a little bit. But he was only like 50, and they were acting like there was nothing wrong with him because he used to walk to work sometimes, and he didn't drive, so he worked. Where did he walk from here? No, from Liversedge to Birstall, Brighouse, which is quite a hell of a walk, isn't it? And he walked there and back. Some like year that he died, he did that. But still, his diet was so poor, it blocked his arteries up, and he had a massive heart attack. He'd been playing football. No, he was a football referee. Something that's what he's, the coach, whatever the hell. He was, football referee, I believe. And he'd been doing that and running around and blowing his whistle on the centre. And he had a heart attack in the car. In a car, his dad was driving. His dad gave him a lift back home, and he had an heart attack in the car, and that was it. He died, dropped dead. But for quite a long time before that, months, he'd been going to doctors thinking what's going on. They'll keep getting his pains and to get him checked out, and they were saying that there was not wrong with him. He was fine. So, why would you be confident in doctors? Yeah, definitely confident in some of them, and I am confident in most of them. But this doctor that I had this time is the same doctor who said there was nothing wrong with me before. And also, I'm not that confident in him. So, like she said, you need to book her to see another doctor then eventually, after trying to act like it's me and it's me that's imagining things. And she said, "Oh, if you get that again, you need to just accept it's you. There's nothing wrong with you." And then she said, "You can go in with him this time," talking to the other lady. Okay. I mean, she didn't want to go in with me. Okay, fair enough. Well, I should have said I need to get a different doctor. Anyway, this is getting extremely boring. If I'm bored, you guys must be extremely bored. Yep. Goodbye. Guess it's a good time to wrap up, isn't it, basically? And what are the final thoughts? There's a lot that I've missed out, probably, and it's going to come to me later on. I'm going to think, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that. That's how it works with these kind of things, because when you've got mental health problems, you're not able to do all this. And most people in my situation wouldn't have been able to do all this and even present this farcical thing that I've done to you, that I've presented to you. So they wouldn't be able to do that. So me, it's easy to talk, isn't it? It's really easy to just press record and just talk and free flow and just let it all come out. And then later on, I'll be going to bed and I'll think, oh yeah, I didn't mention that. I should have said that. I should have mentioned that. But it's not easy to sit down and write and type everything down, is it? That's more overwhelming for people with mental health problems anyway. But people with mental health problems in general don't have a problem with talking. So what are the pearls that stuck out? Okay, you only got us because you wanted a cleaner. You only got us because you wanted a cleaning service. That's what Leanne said to me, which is the most complete crap I've ever heard in my life. She said that when she was here and we were walking out, and said, "Oh yeah, I think we'll be supporting other people that need it more than you because you only got us because you wanted a cleaning service. That is not remotely the truth. You know, I got you because my support worker from Fusion Housing knew that I needed more support than he could offer. Okay? He knows the situation I'm in. This is not living the dream, is it? I'm not living the dream in this shitty little frigging flat in Dewsbury Moor that stinks of damp. It's disgusting, mate. This isn't living the goddamn dream. Let's wake up and face the smell of coffee, you know what I mean? I'm not living the dream. I'm not exploiting things and trying to get something for nothing, like whatever garbage you guys are thinking. Oh, this guy's alright. He just wants free cleaning. Rubbish. This is not alright. Do you think I'd want to be living my life how I want to live it? Do you think I'd want to not be working, not doing this? Of course I'd want to be able to do all that. It's just not achievable for me right now because of mental and physical health. I would want to be working and not sitting on my backside. It'd make my pride a lot better. It'd make my confidence a lot better. Yes, obviously. So that's disappointing that someone I thought were alright made that judgment. And she was alright initially and she was really cool. She helped me tidy up. And then she went off and she just seemed to change. Her demeanour changed. When I was talking to her, when I saw her in person, it was just different, you know. And that's what my friend noticed, you know, when I showed her the messages. I don't know if she's shown you all the messages, but like she would putting kisses at the end of all messages and stuff, and then suddenly it was just really blunt and there were nothing friendly or anything. So something's happened along the way for her to change her mind on me and think, fuck him, I don't want to be nice to him. And the same thing with the other guys. When they first came around, everything was cool and they were really nice. You know, they thought, yeah, maybe there's just a personality clash between him and Leanne, and maybe we'll be all right. And we understand he's got problems. We can look how he's living. Look at all this clutter. He wouldn't be like that if he were fine, would he? And all this and other. They were cool, and they've done the same thing. And it's quite disappointing for a guy who spent his whole life suffering from mental health problems, for you guys to try and act like there's nothing wrong with me when I know that's not the case. I wish that was the case, 100%. That would be the best case scenario, that there is nothing wrong with me and I'm fine, and I'm just some idiot who's going to use people for my own gain, even though I don't need to, just because I'm lazy and, oh yeah, just lazy, I don't like tidying up, yeah, I don't like it. Absolute, complete and utter balderdash rubbish, absolute balderdash. Anyone who's thinking such a thing is talking out of their behind, mate. Why would you think such garbage? Why have you made judgments about someone and think they don't require the service? What have I done? I've done nothing inappropriate. I've been friendly with everyone. I've been cool. So it is what it is. You know, I've got alcohol problems, but I'm not a bad drunk. I'm not abusive or anything. I don't get like that. So, what was another thing? Oh yeah, you moved a wardrobe the other day. Right, I haven't got a muscle problem. All these injuries that have been diagnosed don't exist because I managed to move a wardrobe, which isn't even heavy anyway, from here to here by myself. That must mean, yeah, I am imagining, I ain't got shoulder impingement, I ain't got low vitamin D, I ain't got bicep strains, I ain't got all these problems with my pecs, I ain't got all these crazy problems. I mean, I can show you, you know what I mean? I can show you the messed up body that I've got. Not that anyone wants to see my body these days. Right, one bicep bigger than the other, yeah? You see that? That one is up there, that one's up there. So it's all healed in a weird ass way. Yeah, my neck is all messed up. If you look at pictures of me a few years ago, I had a longer neck, and it's because it's all been stretched and pulled all out of the bloody place. It's all messed up. Anyway, put my clothes back on. Anyway, what am I even on about? Yeah, I moved a wardrobe. Cool. Right. Do you not think you could move a wardrobe with your bad back? Of course you could. I never claimed to be incapable. I knew that I could do stuff, but I suffer through doing it. And then I become incapable. If I keep doing it and keep pushing myself, then I do become incapable. That's what first happened when I moved here. When I first moved here, I moved from my other flat and I moved everything by myself with my friends. You know, they got stuff in car and picked it all up, heavy stuff, bringing it all in, and I were able to do it. And then, you know, all them aches and pains, adrenaline makes you do things. Then I became crippled after I'd done it. I was absolutely exhausted and I would just fall asleep all the time. But I could do it. Like I just pointed out earlier, Hulk Hogan is never going to be a weakling, is he? Yeah? I'm not Hulk Hogan by any stretch of the imagination. You know, I'm just a normal lad. But because I used to lift weights back in the day, the groundwork is in there where I'm always going to be slightly strong compared to a lot of people, you know, compared to guys who didn't do all that stuff or girls who didn't do all that stuff. It's there. It doesn't mean that I'm not injured, hence I've been diagnosed with these injuries. And also, it just adrenaline makes you be able to do things. Adrenaline makes 8 stone women pick cars up. So adrenaline made me move the wardrobe. Adrenaline, and my back was bad after the wardrobe, not my back, my bloody shoulder. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. It's just absolute garbage to think just because you can do something. I'm not claiming to be a complete wimp. I am capable. Yeah, push comes to shove, but I'm messed up. I'm a wimp compared to what I used to be when I was in the swing and always doing stuff. I used to be dropping down doing 70 press ups and stuff. I used to be really fit. Them days have long gone. Absolutely long gone. But even though it's 10 years ago, it's still 10 years ago. So 10 years ago I did it. That's still more than what a lot of people could do, even 10 years down the line. But I'm like about 10th of the strength of what I used to be. That is just fact. Anyway, that's all garbage, and people making a judgment like you haven't got an injury like she did just because I moved a tiny wardrobe that isn't even heavy from here to there, from here to B. Right, I just despaired at that, you know. And then, oh, there's nothing wrong with your mental health. Do you not just think you're lazy? That's another thing she said. Do you not just think you're lazy? Okay, well. Is there anything to say to that? I'm lazy. I'm living the dream out. Who wants to be lazy? What is cool about being lazy? No one wants to be lazy. Everyone would want to get up, be full of beans, go out and do something fun and have energy. Lazy is part of depression. Really, most of the time it's part of depression. It's not just lazy people who are like fine mentally and fine and they just think, yeah, I'm just lazy. I'm having a really good time, but I just want to be lazy because it's not fun. It's not fun to tidy up, so I'll just sit here and be lazy and have so much fun and drink alcohol. Nah, complete garbage again. Judgment. Like I say, these people that have been support workers for me, I've liked. I ain't got no bad feelings to anyone, you know what I mean? I just don't like people who judge, and they obviously haven't got a clue. So, them two have to judge me. I know one of them has vocalised and judged me and made it very clear by how she's acted, being Danielle. The other one, I always thought she was alright, and there was some potential with me and her to work together, and there could have been something that she could have helped me. I'm not claiming to be the worst guy on the planet, and like worse than everyone else. I want to get better, and maybe I am capable. There's no, you know, I wouldn't say there's no wrong with me, like that she's trying to make out, but there's certainly potential if I'm steered in the right direction to be a more functioning adult eventually. Eventually in time, you know, that's what I'm striving for. I don't want to be like this. Who the hell would? I'm 41, I've got kids, I don't drive. You know what I mean? I've got a mother who drives and works and brings the kids over, and I'm just still a bum and not done anything with my life. The mother of the kids. It's just garbage, isn't it? I don't want this. I want to be more than what I am, and you got to start very small baby steps, which is what I was doing. And I felt really optimistic with you guys when you first got involved. You two, the first two, the second two, Danielle and the other one, and I thought, right, these guys are actually going to help. My neighbour saw it and he was like thinking, oh, that's good. You know, he saw him bringing a cooker and they were helping me tidy up and this declutter in the centre of her. And he thought, this is really good, and he was feeling really good about it. The old neighbour Chris, who you guys saw. But I guess it didn't keep up, did it? And it's like, you've done that, and then thought, no, he don't need our help. This guy needs it more. This girl needs it more. They're, whatever, absolute poppycock garbage. And yeah, most people get treated like this and they do nothing about it. And I would have done nothing about it. I couldn't probably do nothing about it in terms of writing a massive complaint because it's overwhelming. There's so much to complain about. So it's very easy to just free flow and talk, isn't it? Which is what I'm doing now. Free flow and talk and put your disagreement out there, which is what I'm doing now at Caesar. So that stuck with me. Nothing wrong with you. Your shoulder's fine. You moved that wardrobe. Okay, right. Hulk Hogan could always move a wardrobe. Hulk Hogan could always probably strangle me and kill me to death. You know, it's just life. If you've done it in the past, it's still there. It doesn't mean that he'd do it and he'd be fine. It'd still, he could move the wardrobe and his back would be knackered. You can do things with adrenaline. You can do things. You've got a bad back yourself. Do you not think you could move that wardrobe? Of course you could. Right. So it doesn't mean that these injuries that are diagnosed, let's point that word out another 500 times, diagnosed injuries, check my doctors, diagnosed, sounded like a girl here, that whatever. The diagnosed injuries are there and they're diagnosed and they exist. It's not me imagining it like you were trying to imply, like saying, see another doctor then, you go in with him, pointing to the other lass. You go in with him this time because you didn't want to go in because you were thinking, oh, here he is, disagreeing with that doctor, which I'd explained to you, that doctor is the guy everyone always gets. I should have stressed out I didn't want him, actually. Because if you don't ask, if you don't mention you don't want him, they always give you him. Nobody wants Dr. Gowder. And as I pointed out, he's falsely said that, oh, fine before, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I'm not living the dream. Drinking tea with whiskey because I've run out of coke. And I'm drinking to deal with this situation. I'm not going to make a million videos. Can't be bothered. This is what it is. You guys have decided I don't need your support. Whatever. I'm going to have to move on. Try and get support from people who actually are supportive. I know that I had decent support workers in the past. People who believed in me and thought I needed support. I know that I've got some friends who do care about me. You guys are not meant to care about people, or maybe you are meant to support people who need support, and that's what I was. I'm not here. I've not done anything inappropriate, and I'm not like been ringing people at 1 in the morning and sending this message. I'm not like some weird little idiot. That is not what I've done. I've gone off on one once or twice, yeah, because I thought, and a few messages because I've got upset about it. Yeah, I've never done out like that. I've got a life to live. I'm not there bloody texting people 24/7 who are like saying, oh, anyway, talk to me at 1 in the morning, talk to me when I'm at work or whatever. I won't do that. I'm not a bloody imbecile. Not a man. Live in the real world, mate. That's where I come from. And now, I've never been funny with anyone, never been aggressive with anyone. I've had someone trying to act like I'm imagining my illnesses and my depression, and I'm not depressed because I went to my mate's birthday and all this lot. I've had it all with you guys. This has been worse for me than nothing. Nothing might have been better, and I appreciate what I mentioned before, all these practical things. Obviously, you got to look at the positive. I've got a cocoa. Brilliant, yeah, you guys have helped with that, but still, the long term thing, I'm going to be thinking like, what am I going to be thinking? Like, what, a whole team of people were acting like there's nothing wrong with me, and like, they didn't want to help me, they just didn't want to do anything, they wanted to get rid of me, and like I'm a problem, and oh yeah, he's difficult, we don't want him. You know, that's messed with me because I've never had anything like that, and I can swear on my kids' lives I haven't. Not with mental health services, not at all. I'm a cool guy in general, you know, everyone's cool with me. I've got kids, I've got kids' mums, everyone's alright with me. Yeah, I've had one of them that was a bit difficult, but everything's cool, everything flows along. Nobody's got a problem with me seeing my kids or anything. I've got everything's cool, good friends, you know. I've got families that are not great. I've got family that's not great, but I've got really good. Everyone knows I'm a good guy. You know, the mum of the kids is a good judge of character, and she lets me have the kids every weekend. She'd let me have them every weekend if I could afford it, but the reason I don't have them every weekend is because I can't afford it. I don't get enough money. Everything's cool. My kids love me. I love my kids. What more is it to say other than that? Other than thank you for the days. Yeah, thank you guys for the days, those endless days, those sacred days you gave me. You know what I mean? Maybe end it with a song. That's a good idea, isn't it? You know, try and make a lighter note of it all. This is dedicated to all of the support workers at Choices in Kirklees, and I just want to thank you for the days and the wonderful service that you guys gave me. And it's a Kinks song, because I like the Kinks. Pretty good, aren't they? Thank you for the days, those endless days, those sacred days you gave me. I'm thinking of the days I won't forget a single day, believe me. I bless the light, I bless the light that shines on you, believe me. And though you're gone, you're with me every single day, believe me. Days I remember all my life, days when you can't see wrong from right. You took my life, but then I knew that very soon you'd leave me. But it's alright, now I'm not frightened of this world, believe me. I wish today could be tomorrow. The night is long, it just brings sorrow, let it rain. Thank you for the days, those endless days, those sacred days you gave me. I'm thinking of the days I won't forget a single day, believe me. Days I remember all my life, days when you can't see wrong from right. You took my life, but then I knew that very soon you'd leave me. But it's alright, now I'm not frightened of this world, believe me. Thank you for the days, those endless days, those sacred days you gave me. I'm thinking of the days I won't forget a single day, believe me. I bless the light, I bless the light that lights on you, believe me. And though you're gone, you're with me every single day, believe me. Cheers, mate. But yeah, thank you for the days. Yeah, you know what I mean? You gotta have a laugh, haven't you? Because obviously that's kind of tongue in cheek. Hey, no bad feelings. Like I said, I think the dark haired lass that were here were pretty cool. I think the other one pretty cool. Everyone's cool. I ain't got a problem with anyone. I'm a peace loving guy, but sadly, there's been some kind of weirdness that's gone on where they've just been weird with me, and I've not had that with any kind of mental health service before. But I guess this is all women and like a group clique, and they're all talking amongst each other like I was told, oh yeah, we do talk to each other, and it's like I was told that, and so I don't know what's been going on where people have been bad mouthing me, or maybe they haven't, or maybe they just thought they've not even said anything about me, which I couldn't care less now. You know what I mean? The reality is, you guys have deemed me as fit and fine, acting like there's nothing wrong with me, and it's not true. So here I am doing all this, knowing that you guys have made that decision. you know. And here's how I'm living, mate. You know, this is not how people that are fine live. They don't. They're not drinking during the day by themselves. Obviously, I've got coronavirus. I've had coronavirus. In fact, I've just done a test. Let's double check. I've had coronavirus. Is it still So, hmm. No, it's not. That's the first negative, actually. Maybe there's this very faintest of lines. I've had faint lines the last 2 days, but this is like so faint I can't even see it. In fact, I don't even think I can see that one. Yeah, can't really see that one unless you can see something. I don't know. It's very faint, isn't it? So yeah, what am I even going on about? You know, drinking during the day by yourself. Is that what people do? That's fine. It's not, is it? Who's running? Don't know. So yeah, I've done this. This is how I'm living, mate. This is housing support. I've not been inappropriate with anyone. I've never been inappropriate with anyone anywhere. Never have done in my life. Everyone's been cool, but there's been judgments made and false judgments made, and people being rude to me a little bit, making judgments. And it is what it is, isn't it? You know, I'm knackered. These things are real. I'm not imagining anything. I'm not imagining my mental health. I'm not imagining my goddamn physical health. But yeah, what can you do right now? You're in that boat. Deal with it, and do something in it. I get that. Deal with it and do something. Stop being a lazy beep beep beep. Get off your ass and do something, which is what I was trying to do. And you guys were supposedly gonna be the ones that could help. Like my support worker Riz said, you know, get these guys. I've heard good things about them. But maybe you have done good things for other people, but with me you haven't. So you're really great for other people, not me. That's a personal thing. I'll take that personal, and I'm going to take it personal, and that's why this service has kind of messed with my mental health a little bit, because I've never had that problem ever with anyone from the mental health service, and they're not all like, oh yeah, blah, 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 let's tiptoe around Lee, blah blah blah. Nah, not at all, man. I'm just a normal lad. Yeah, obviously, maybe I've got some. Maybe I'm a little bit difficult, but that's part of mental health problems, isn't it? When people are crippled with mental health problems, you got to understand it. That's what I tried to explain to Danielle when I sent her that song. The Depression is a Mattress on the Floor, that poem that I wrote, you know. And I sent her the post, which hopefully you guys have seen, from 2020, I believe it was, and it's about how depression is kind of more crippling than having a broken leg sometimes, and it is like a mattress on the floor, and it is like picking yourself up and finding the motivation, and that is what this service should have been about. Really, there were a lot more potential. I saw the potential when the two guys took over and they stepped up and they were doing stuff, and then it all wavered, and then suddenly they went from being cool with me to being uncool with me.